All right, welcome for everyone who's hopping into chat right now. We're still waiting on the website to update so we can sit here and chat a little bit while everything gets all nice and sorted. It looks like it's doing a little better. Oh, wasn't expecting to do it this early today, but that's completely okay. I'm up. I probably won't be up for long. You can sit here for about an hour. Hello, Mr. Goats. Welcome. And yeah, we'll hopefully have a good time. I'm very excited about this. Yeah. That's true, but that's fine, right? Because, like, we don't get most of our viewers until, like, an hour plus in. And obviously, we're not going to be here that long today. But at the very least, we'll get some people in before we actually show it off, so I don't have to show everything off again. And the good thing about this as well is this will also be live on the channel post the fact, so people who can go in and watch it. I should have done you know what I should have done on the channel? I should have done a oh goodness, what's it called? Premiere. But I just got back from a date with my fiance, and I was just like, you know what? We'll do it right now. We're going to wait till a little later in the evening, but I wasn't expecting to even be awake right now, so. The pains of living with someone who has a grave shift and having complete availability in your own schedule. Yeah, it does look like the site is struggle busting a bit. How are y'all doing? How's the chat doing? Hope we all doing great today. On this uncharacteristic Monday viewing of hopefully the playtest. I'll let y'all know now, Paizo does not have the best reputation for having a very well functioning and working website. So hopefully, I think I'm already. I was in sunlight for 30 minutes. We'll see if I get a sunburn. You got in? Oh, hey! I got in. Nice. All right. Let's go ahead. And real quick, I'm gonna set up my. Do something like that, and let's see here. Put the cam above it. Make that a little smaller. And actually, let's put this on the other side. That looks good, honestly. Let's go ahead and transition, shall we? All right. Oh, were you messaging on the Paizo Partners Discord? I think I saw a message about someone having a similar issue. But yeah, we're looking at the Kineticist. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited. There's going to be a lot of great things in here. I'm going to increase the font size a bit. That's looking a lot better. Now, I'm not one for actually like participating in playtests. I like seeing them. I like seeing what they got cooking. But I'm definitely not someone who's, I think, really good at like identifying what is good versus what's not good. So if anyone actually tries it out, Oh boy. Oh boy. Look at that. Key ability Constitution. They got it. First class to have Constitution as their key ability modifier. My friend is going to be so happy. He's been waiting for this forever. I'm going to get some more water real quick. I feel my throat already getting dry. Be right back. All right. Constitution. 8 plus con modifier. Oh, weird. Interesting. Ah, yeah. Well, obviously other people have been having similar issues. Yeah, it is what it is. But, all right. So, excuse me. Oh, nice. Con ability, 8 plus con modifier. So we're looking at a pretty beefy class, pretty chunky class. Very excited for that. Let's see. Just type in your browser Pathfinder 2E playtest. It's like the very first one. All right, Expert 4, Expert Reflex. We're looking at a martial class here. Train Perception, Train in Nature, Train in number of 3 plus your intelligence modifier. Simple weapons and unarmed attacks. Ooh boy, look at that. Simple weapons and unarmed attacks. So they're definitely utilizing something else to do their damage. Because they got the general layout of what you could expect from like a hybrid martial, in a sense. But it's looking like they're definitely getting their damage from somewhere else. They don't get a spell DC anywhere, I'm seeing. Might be mentioned later, which makes sense. Kinetic is not a spellcaster. And let's see here. Oh, poo. Alex won't be joining us today. All right. Let's skip past that. We're just going to take this one bite at a time. Innergate and channeled elements. If you can open your supernatural conduit to the elemental planes, choose whether this inner gate is dedicated gate connected to a single element plane, a dual gate connecting to 2, or a universal gate connecting to all. Interesting. This determines how many different elements you can channel and how many bonus impulse feats. A specific kind of kineticist feat that allows you to shape and wield an element you select at first level. When selecting an element for your inner gate, you can pick from 4 elements: air, earth, fire, and water, which are described in full starting on page 13. We'll have to see for sure. I definitely know it's not going to be the same as first edition. And something I should mention, right, before we continue. So, one of the interesting things, right, that comes with deciding a key attribute for a class, as far as balance is concerned, is how many things that stat gives you. Strength is really good. You can use it for striking, you can use it for athletics, which are very important in combat, but it doesn't apply to a save. It just increases your likelihood to hit and your accuracy, which is good. Dex increases your likelihood to hit with finesse weapons and ranged weapons, and it also applies to a reflex save. All the intelligent or all the like mental based ones mostly just apply to your spellcasting modifier. Sometimes damage, but not often. A lot of the damage is mostly just in the spell. Con is interesting. Con is really strong as a key attribute because it applies to your character's health, which is a major factor, and your fort saving throws. And it could apply to damage depending on how the class works. We're going to see what the con actually applies to. So this could be a very strong class just from that difference alone. All right, so dedicated gate. Your gate is dedicated channel to a single element, limiting you to a single element, but giving you great skill with it. Select one element. You can channel this element and you gain 3 first level impulse feats that match the element's trait. Okay. So you get 3 feats started. So this... Interesting. I'm a little scared because classes with lots of feats tend to be really strong in their own way. So we're going to have to see. Dual gate. Your inner gate is harmonious conduit between 2 planes, allowing you to combine their elements. Select 2 elements. You could choose these elements, and you can also gain 2 first impulse feats. One with the trait of the first element and one with the other. Okay, pretty simple. And your gate access all the elemental planes, allowing you to access a huge array of elements, but limiting your total practice with any one force. You can channel all 4 elements. When you make your daily preparations, you gain 1 first level impulse feat, which you can use until your next daily preparations. Interesting. So, yeah. We'll still have to look into it a little bit more, but it's looking interesting. I like how Universal feels flexible, but feats are very powerful. Feats, even gaining 1 additional feat in your kit can make your character more powerful than another depending on the situation. So this makes me concerned on how that could be, but that's just early skepticism. There's a lot of things of like Witch had some funkiness coming out, and even like Thaumaturge has some funkiness coming out. So a lot of these always get really well tuned up by the time they actually release. So if I have any misgivings, it's just from a purely skeptical point, and it doesn't influence how I think it's actually going to work. Hey, thank you. Oh my God, that name. The cold cut combo with tomato. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. You guys are great. I've had so many good comments lately saying that they've found the channel, binged the videos, really enjoy it, keep it up, all that kind of stuff. It's been so nice, and I'm definitely planning on doing so. I'm recording extra videos because I'm going to be gone to Norway, but y'all won't know. Well, you might know, but there'll be a full week of videos for everyone, so you won't be missing out on much. And with the new class build series, I think the channel will start seeing a lot more growth, so be prepared. Let's continue. Gather element. You draw forth the element matter through your inner gate from 1 to 6 planes. Choose one element you can channel. Mass element appears in your open hand. Your hand is occupied with the element you've channeled, and you can't use it for anything other than elemental impulse abilities to shape and direct the gathered energy. You can use the release basic action to cause the element to dissipate, using an action that has the overflow traits. Oh, goodness. All right, King Complex already. Also causes the element to dissipate. Oh, I see. If you use something that has overflow, your element will dissipate. So there will be actions that will actually, cause you to need to re-equip or reload, I guess, your actions. You can have only 1 element gathered at a time, and gathering an element causes any element you already gathered to dissipate. An element in its pure form with its typical physical properties, for example, gathered air ruffles your clothes and hair, fire sheds light, blah, blah, blah. You can gather an element, hold it, and use it even in environments where it normally wouldn't be possible. So you can wield fire underwater if that's a concern, which is good, because that would be silly that you just can't use one of your abilities because, underwater. Let's see. Yeah, and this is the first example they give. Using fire in a vacuum as well. That's also good. Gather element action gains the trait of the element you gather. Elemental impulse. An impulse is a special type of magical action available to kineticists, allowing them to wield or shape their element into diverse, powerful forms. Blah, blah, blah. To wield an element using an impulse, you must have gathered the element. So, yeah, of course, you have to equip the element. Your inner gate selection gives you one or more bonus impulse feats. While there are many ways to shape the elements, all kinetics can simply blast their opponents with elemental fury. Elemental blast. Here it goes. With the wave of your hand, you swing or hurl an elemental matter. Okay, so it's a melee or range strike. Using your gather element, the damage die, damage type, and traits for both the melee and range weapons are listed on page 6. If you make a melee strike, you add your strength modifier to the damage as normal, as the element is more intense when you're physically closer to your inner gate. Okay. Though it's not actually an unarmed attack, an elemental blast uses your proficiency with unarmed attacks. That's important. That's important. That means that any actions that affect unarmed traits, like Flurry of Blows, cannot stack with elemental blasts. Good to know. I'm glad they thought of that, because that would be a very broken thing, it sounds like. Let's see here. Gets any bonuses and penalties that apply to unarmed attacks and uses weapon damage dice and weapon traits in the same way an armor attack does. The blast can benefit from runes granted by hand wraps of mighty blows. Makes sense. If you have a weapon specialization, the blast gains extra damage as if it were an unarmed attack. Elemental blasts have a unique critical specialization. Nice. If you gain a critical blah blah blah, it's based on the element. Okay. Impulses are magical, but they aren't spells. However, abilities that restrict you from casting spells, such as being polymorphed or into a battle form, or protect against spells, Globe of Invulnerability, also apply to impulses. So it's magic, not magic. Confusing. But okay. Any impulse you use is your level, even if the feat or impulse level is lower than yours. Makes sense. For instance, if you're a 5th level, your elemental blast would be considered a 5th level, and its counteract level would be a 3rd level. Okay. That's confusing, but I get what they were going for. That's going to hopefully be cleaned up when they word it in the actual book. Even though you gain the action at first level... Similarly to spells, many impulses get more powerful as you go up in level. In these cases, the impulse ends with a level entry. This either lists the level at which the impulse gets an upgrade, or has an entry with a plus sign that describes a benefit that increases on a regular basis. For instance, a first level impulse with a +3 gets stronger with 4th, 7th. Okay. So they're essentially explaining heightening effects to someone who might not play a spellcaster fair. All right. Air is the dagger, agile, finesse, reach. Reach. Interesting. And versatile bludgeoning. And has a range increment of 120 feet for its range strikes. That's pretty good. It's a D4, but that's very versatile. Earth is a D8. It's forceful, which is really good. It also has propulsive and has a range increment of 20 feet. Makes sense. Pretty balanced so far. Fire is a D6, has agile, finesse, has a range increment of 60 feet. Pretty good. Fire just seems to be the one you want to use as much strikes as possible. Oh, you're right. So does air. Air also has agile range as well. Interesting. So we got some agile range striking, which I think is pretty cool. Water is D8, has sweep. Nice. So water's the area attacker. Has a bit further distance than fire does, or than earth does. Interesting, but it's not propulsive. Okay. Overall, I don't think that they're too off. The damages feel good overall. The only thing that I kind of am concerned about is Why give air reach when you could blast instead? Yes, I see absolutely no reason why reach would even really factor into things. Strength bonus to damage. That's true. That's true. Attack of opportunities. Yeah, but like like everyone always mentions attack of opportunity. A lot of enemies, a grand majority, don't have attack of opportunity. It's not a common enough threat. But yeah, I guess the strength part makes sense. But if strength was your major factor, then you're using a weaker strike in comparison that you could just blast with anyone else. So I don't know. That's an interesting one. I think I like it. I like how it feels. Maybe if they gave it shove rather than versatile B, I think that'd be cool. I don't know. That's true. Flanking also. There's some benefits to it. There's some benefits to it. I just it's always hard to consider exactly what benefits there might are be. And to be fair, all the other elements could technically flank as well. Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, that's my only thing that I'm really noticing. If they swapped out versatile B for shove, I think air would be justifiable for being a D4. Adapt elements. It's trivial to you to tinker with your elements. Choose a non-magical portion of an element you can channel that's within 10 feet of you. It must be either unattended or attended by a willing creature of negligible bulk and no larger than can fit in the palm of a human hand, such as a small rock, torch, flame, or twig. Well, human. That sounds a little racist if you ask me. Joking, of course. Let's see. If you have gathered the element, you can choose that portion of element. So you can use your gathered element or a different element. Choose one of the following options allowed for the element, though your GM might allow you to make similar small alterations. Adopt element can't deal damage or cause adverse effects. Let's see. You can draw it from your environments to you. That could be handy. You can move a portion of it. That could be good for fire. Regulates air, fire, and water. You can change the temperature of an element, making it colder or warmer. This can snuff out a flame or turn water into ice and steam. After this change, the element cools or warms naturally, though you can keep regulating to maintain the chosen temperature. An item that gets hot enough can be used as an improvised weapon that deals 1 fire damage in addition to its damage type. That's cool. That can be utilized with the improviser archetype dedication, and you could do some really fun stuff with that. That could be I take out a glass, I smash it, and then it starts to burn. That's interesting. Okay. Maybe. Wait, how does that work with flanking even? Don't use summon air and it's gone after you attack, so your reach is back to 5. No, Yuki. When you've gathered it in your hands, it's essentially like a weapon in function and form. It's more like equipping than I would say setting a stance. Because technically you can set a stance. Or you can still get into a stance, which I guarantee this is going to have stances. I am almost going to guarantee that it either will have it now or will come out with stances. Sculpt. You reshape portion into a small object, like a crude and artificial, and extremely fragile. It can't be used as a tool, weapon, or spell component. Cool. You can make a cup and drink water, maybe. Cool, I guess. Sustain. Air and water. Choose a creature within 10 feet that can breathe that element. You transfer the element to the creature, allowing it to breathe until the start of your next turn if it couldn't otherwise. Possibly good. Also, thank you to Mr. Tomas Roque. I don't know. If you're here, thank you for joining us. They might be somewhere else in the channel. Who knows? Getting new subs every day. Let's see. Kinetic feats are elemental resistance. When you're connecting to an elemental plane, you're protected from the element. While you have an element gathered, you gain resistance equal to your level to the damage from a source. That's right. For example, if you had water gathered, you gain resistance to a strike from water elemental or damage from the hydraulic push spell. What does that mean for Earth? Is it only something that has the Earth trait? That's interesting. I mean, resistance is good, especially for a con-based class. That kind of has a stacking feature to it. I wish they had elaborated more. Creatures with a strong tie to your element might be troublesome for you to deal with, at least until you've learned to turn their element nature to your advantage. You gain the extract elemental action. You tug directly on the elemental nature of a creature to weaken it and take its power for your own. Choose an element you can channel and target a creature within 30 feet that has that trait, or has the matching trait. Yada yada. Creature must make a fort save against your class CC or take 2d4 damage as you steal the elemental essence from its body, as well as the following effects. If it crit succeeds, nothing happens. If it succeeds, the creature takes half the damage and you gather the element you chose. This element is tied directly to the material essence of that creature, so any kinetic ability you use with that specific massive gathered energy can affect the target even if it would normally be immune. Interesting. And also, the target takes a -1 circumstance penalty to its saves against and AC against it. Okay. If the target normally has resistance that would apply against one of your impulses, ignore that resistance. If it normally would be immune, it instead has resistance equal to its level to damage from that impulse. All these effects last only as long as you have the element from the gathered creature. Failure, same as success, so you take full damage. Crit failure, same as failure, although the creature takes double the damage. Okay. So, nice. Very niche. If you're up against elementals, you can beat them in the face with their own element. That's kind of rough. I mean, from an elemental perspective, it's like ripping their arm off and beating them with it. But, cool. Super niche ability. I would not be surprised if this gets changed into something else, because elemental enemies are not very common. They can be, depending on your setting and your campaign, but this is not very common, and dedicating a whole ability to it is very niche. This could be a feat, I think. It's not that I don't like it, though. And the damage increases every 3 levels by an additional d4. That has very poor scaling, and late game enemies will only be tickled by that. So that's very interesting. I mean, yes, but there's already instances in the game where characters can be immune to a certain type of player's damage. So it's not like that's super unheard of. I agree that is something to consider and might be why they keep it. I don't know. I think that one will get changed. Iron Will. Let's see. Skill increase. Critical element. Oh, I'm actually very interested in this. You gain the critical specialization based on your element. Air moves the enemy 5 feet in the direction of your choice. Earth. If the target is on the ground, it's knocked prone. If it's not on the ground, it descends up to 20 feet. Okay. So if you blast a flying creature, you can cause it to drop in altitude. Okay. Pretty cool. Fire, Flames Leap, Hunger Lead, dealing 1d6 persistent damage. You gain an item bonus to this fire damage equal to the blast item bonus damage. That's pretty cool. Water sprays violently, doing splash damage equal to the number of weapon damage die of the blast of the same damage type. It does not specify you do not get hit. I imagine you wouldn't get hit from it if you're meleeing with it. I do think that needs to be specified in the final written material. Adapt terrain. All right, more elemental manipulation stuff. You can use adapt terrain on a portion of element, blah, blah, blah. Proliferate. You can cause the element to spread. If it's in an unoccupied square, it grows to fill that square. This might cause the square to become difficult terrain or hazardous terrain, as determined by the GM. Hazardous terrain you create this way deals damage equal to half your level. You can also use proliferate to spread an element that already fills a square into another square. After you proliferate an element, it reacts to the environment naturally. Water you proliferate into thin air would splash back down, for example, and if you ran the water from a pool onto a dry land, it could form mud or a new channel in the soil and would evaporate normally over time. Let's see, after you proliferate an element, so you can push it into space. Interesting. One thing I'm really noticing with a lot of these abilities, they seem very utility in the moment RP based. And, well, that's not bad in my opinion. I think from a mechanical standpoint, it's all kind of interesting. Getting class features that relate to that. Like, if you compare this to, like, Thaumaturge, it feels like the impact of some of these level-based benefits just don't match up at all whatsoever. And you can't even make the argument that it's elemental-based, so, weaknesses, because Thaumaturge is all about that. So, I don't know. Alertness is expert perception. Okay, elemental expertise. Elemental flexibility. You can look within to alter the magic you can bring through your energy. When you make your daily preparations, you gain 1 elemental impulse feat of 8th level or lower. And you can use that until your next. You must meet all the feature requirements. Okay, cool. I like that. Elemental flexibility gives all of them, not even just the universal one, flexibility, which I think is cool. I think it's necessary, and it'll make them feel more dynamic. Very interesting. Again, though, more feats. Lots of feats. And, like, again, I get that Death Fate X. It's just one of those things where it's like, when you stack this up to other classes, it's like it doesn't feel like this class. It's getting these instead of something else is kind of what it feels like. That's my complaint. I don't mind that they can do these things. I like these kind of things in my games. I think a very intelligent player can make good use out of these abilities, but that's not very accessible to lots of people. People who might not be able to think things through to that depth. And again, it just feels less impactful. Pure adaptation. Your inner gate can now filter elements around you, bringing them closer to their true form. You can use adapt element on a portion of an element within 60 feet of you and one bulk or lower. Sorry about that. Add the following option to your adapt element action. You turn the element into the purest form itself. For instance, you can remove pollutants from air or water. This can't change the grade of a material, alter the form of a manufactured object, or change the structural integrity of an element. If the purification would remove an alchemical or magical pollutant, or it can't change it if it would remove such things. Adapt element attempts to counteract that impurity. Wait, what? If the purification would remove... Oh, I see. If the purification would remove an alchemical or magical element, you must make a counteract DC of 10 DC minus, or your class DC minus 10 for the counteract check. If it fails to counteract any particular impurity, any further attempt to make or to purify it fails as well. Interesting. I do like that. It's lacking a lot of like description terms. If I do this on a gas, would the gas remain not in that square anymore? Or rationally, would the square become filled up at the start of my next turn? That is a thing. Like, purify water, yeah. Unpoison water, yeah. Like, I get that. Again, this is a class ability. These are things that are supposed to motivate players to play them. These feel a lot of cantrips. Blast Mastery, Light Armor, Greater Juggernaut, Greater Weapon. Let's see. Nope, nothing new there. Improved Elemental Flexibility, so same as Fighter. You get one at 8 for 8th or lower, and a second for 14th and lower. And interesting. You can use the first feat to meet the prerequisites for the second feat. You must meet all of the feat's other prerequisites. Interesting. I don't know if the Fighter has that. I could look it up, but I'm not going to right now. That's very cool, though. I do like the idea that you can look up the general, or you can use these for certain feat lines. I have to imagine this class has to have a bunch of feats, right? Maybe? I don't know. So many things give you feats. They should have a lot. The rules lawyer went offline. I can't imagine he spoke about everything about it so soon. They said feats would be an entire chapter. Cool. Concerning. Especially with how many feats they get, but we'll have to see. Light armor, and then final gate. You permanently are quick and you use your extra action only to gather an element. That's a terrible Capstone ability, not gonna lie. I mean, it's good. When you think of it in the sense of, like, internet issues. Rough. When you think of it in the sense of, like, reloading, then it's essentially saying you can reload your strike as a or as a quickened action or whatever. That's good, and I think that's valid. I don't know. Yeah, 19th level abilities are not always hits, though. A lot of them are going to be siloed, so they have to make sure there are enough for everyone, yeah. Rules Lawyer crashed. Unfortunate. Well, at least for the interim, for those who are coming here from Rules Lawyer, welcome. I'm glad you're all here. I hope you enjoy. We're just taking a look at what's going on currently, and if you hop back over, I'm not going to, tell them. Actually, if anyone hops back over to Rules Lawyer, if he gets back on, let him know Battle Gamer says hi. I do want to actually, like, have him on Table Talk at some point in the future. Elemental Familiar. Let's see. Does this do anything unique? The Familiar is immune to bleed, paralyze, poison, sleep, and the Familiar uses your Constitution modifier to determine its perception, acrobatics, and stealth modifiers. Pretty cool. TOS. I don't remember. I've heard it before. I don't remember. You have to remind me what TOS is. All right. Elemental weapon. You can shape your element, matter, or energy that comes into a deadly weapon when you gather. Let's see here. Choose one type of weapon, which is the form and substance of weapon. A one-handed, simple, or martial weapon. Must be common or have access. Weapon's damage type changes to match the type of chosen. Uses your blast proficiency. Makes sense. You can change your selections with 1 day of retraining. So you have to retrain for a day. I would think that they would make this one you could just change it with the daily preparations. I don't know. This weapon is still gathered element and can be used for impulses, expended with overflow, and so on. It can also be used for elemental blast or standard strike. So you can still blast with weapons. Nice. If you choose a weapon or range blast or strike. Provided they are melee blasts or strikes, If you choose a melee weapon or range, oh, you can make a ranged weapon with this gun kineticist. Fun idea. Don't know how that would work, because technically, how would reloading work? If the weapon leaves your hand, such as with a thrown weapon, the element is expended. If you choose a ranged weapon that uses ammunition, oh, here we go. You must still reload the weapon using a normal number of actions, though the only type of ammunition you can use with the weapon is elemental ammunition forged in your inner gate. You can choose this feat again. If you do so, you choose a new weapon you can create when you gather the element. If you can channel more than one element, you can choose a different element for this new weapon. That's interesting. You know what? This is kind of sick. Not gonna lie. Elemental Weapon Master. That sounds really cool. You can just start pulling out like whatever weapon, conjuring them made of different elements to do different things. That's so aesthetic. I love that. That's so cool. Very interesting. I really like that. The only bad part about the ammunition thing is that means you can't use unique ammunitions with it, which is unfortunate. Flexible blast. When your physical prowess, or whatever your physical prowess is, you can adapt your blast to suit it. You can give any melee blast you make the finesse traits, allowing you to use dex, and you can give any range element of you the brutal trait. Interesting. That's really strong, actually. Interesting. I'm assuming elemental makes it that weapon. It just uses your blast stuff, so this doesn't affect that. I'm going to say that's how it's intended. Give me a fire gun and water gun. Yeah! Using double fingers, just it's very cool. Reminder: TOS offers powerful Excel-based automated dynamic character managers. Oh, cool! Nice. Hello, Toodles. Welcome to the chat. We got a lot of people here today. Holy crap! But flexible blasts is interesting. I think that's a strong feat. Not gonna lie, that kind of messes with some of the balancing with some of the other ones. I think it makes strength a really good stat because you can use brutal range strikes, more or less. So that one's a very strong one. Interesting. Is there a whole... Okay, one second. Is there an impulse? Oh. There's extra feat tables. Oh, no. Oh, no. That's going to be a lot. Okay. Let's continue. Oh, no. What did I get myself into? This is going to be a really long playtest. I now 100% understand why there's only one class coming out in Rage of Elements. This class playtest takes 24 pages because of all the feat tables. Thank you, Azikaru. Oh no! This class has so much! Oh no. Kinetic activation. Rather than incantations and gestures, you can use your inner gate to directly unlock the potential of elemental powers. You can activate magic items that require you to be able to cast a spell provided you activate. Am I missing anything? Oh, it dropped down here. Okay. You activate them with the same elemental nature as the element of your channel. For example, you can channel Fireball, so you could activate a Scroll Fireball. That's pretty cool. What a feat I had ahead. Yeah. Oh my god. My why kineticist is awesome. Oh no. Oh no. Oh god. Even when I try to shorten it, I can't say that video is going to be less than 40 minutes. It'll be shorter than anyone else's video. I'll say that right now. It'll be shorter than anyone else's video out there, but it's still going to be like almost an hour. Great. But let's talk about kinetic activation. Yes, absolutely. Love the fact that you can use items that have certain elements. That means if you have a Staff of Fire, you can use a Staff of Fire with your Kineticist. Again, really cool. I really think it's very good, and I don't think it breaks the class whatsoever. Not at all. Yes, they're releasing metal and wood. Oh, yeah. they're releasing 2 more elements, so there's going to be even more pages. Okay, cool. All right. I'm going to suppress that anxiety for now. So you can be a spellcasting Kinetic. I was right! I was right on Thursday. They are spellcasters, damn it. Unintentionally, I was right. Kind of. I was so wrong, I turned right. Alright. Voice of elements. You can speak the secret tones of elements you channel, finding the words. You can speak the language corresponding to your elements. You can also communicate with mindless elementals on a basic level of their elemental nature. Oh, cool. You can get the talk to animals to mindless elementals. Okay, cool. Access to new languages, kind of cool. Very utility. I do like it though. I find this interesting, and I like how you could just talk to like a mindless little elemental thing. And, you know, have some simple interactions, make it sit, play fetch, all that kind of stuff. Blast Barrage. You rapid fire pieces of your element, hurling them at your foe. Make up to 3 each against a different target. Your multi applies. Oh, okay. Okay. Blast Barrage I thought was going to be really, really strong. Its utility, its double action. Honestly, this is technically worse than a single action 2 attack action, like Flurry of Blows. So this I feel is completely fine, and it's really simple AOE. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I have nothing really much to say about that. It's extra action economy that kind of forces you to take a -10 attack, even if it's agile. It's -8, so I don't know. Could be good, could be bad. I think a single action version like Flurry of Blows style one would be better. It gives you more you can do, but I don't know. That's a very interesting one. I guess they just didn't want to do another Flurry of Blows, which makes sense. Command Elemental. You get an ability, 2 actions to, let's see. You automatically control the element if its level is equal to or lower than your level -3, or slowed 1 for as long as you sustain the effect if its level is equal to your level -2 or higher. It can attempt a will save throw against your class DC to resist being controlled by you, or to end the slowed effect. If the target is already under someone else's command, it can't be slowed by this ability, and the controlling creature also rolls a saving throw with the elemental using the better results. So they get advantage essentially using the summoner or whoever. Okay. Interesting. I do like this one. Very niche. I don't know how often you come into 1, character or enemies who summon creatures, and 2, enemies that summon elementals specifically, and 3, creatures that summon elementals of an element that you can affect. Universal, you're good to go. I think this one is so niche. I love it, but it's so niche. It's also not incapacitation. That's true. Also, something to remember about some of these feats, for those of you who may have joined us a little bit later, some of these feats will have an impulse trait. Impulse means that you must have your gathered element in order to use this. which means you essentially have to equip an element or load an element, however you want to look at it, using an action called gather elements to use this action. And this one also is, I think, one of the first ones that have overflow. So overflow, they added a new trait called primal. I guess that for school, for a magic-like effect, I guess so. Anyway, it's too narrow of an ability. I agree. Overflow, this will also get rid of your gather element. So once you take control of the elemental, if you want to do anything, you're going to have to gather elements. So this is technically a 3-action ability. I can see the uses for it. I can see this being cool. And you take control of the creature. But that one's a little off. I think that one needs some balancing. Cycling blast, 2 elements dance in quick succession in either order. You can make an elemental blast and gather an element. You must gather a different element than the one you currently have gathered. I like that one. I like that one a lot. Cycling blast really benefits those who didn't get as many feats by optimizing their strike. Essentially allowing you to make an elemental blast and then regather it, or, whatever. There's probably going to be feats in here that are going to empower your elemental blast, giving them overflow, but it'll still be an elemental blast. So this is actually a really, really good feat. Cycling blast is a really solid feat. Interesting. It has impulse, but you can choose to gather an element first. But I think, didn't they say the impulse actions needed to have your element gathered in order to use them? I don't know. I like it. I really like it. It's a good feat. Maybe just a little weird. Stoke element, 1 action, impulse. You feed more elemental power into the element you gather, causing it to grow more potent. You can't use another impulse this turn, but the first time you use one on your next turn that has a damage roll, you gain a +2 status bonus to the damage or a +4 status bonus if the impulse has the overflow trait. This bonus applies only to the initial damage roll and not to any from ongoing effects. This benefit is lost if not used by the end of your next turn or if you gather a different element. So you can't use another impulse turn, but the first time you use one on your next turn. Interesting. So I do like that kind of idea. I do like... Oh, that's a good idea, Dead Phoenix. Yeah, it does let you swap an element if you absolutely need to. I do like the idea of setting yourself up for the next turn using an action. You could do your barrage, then stoke an element, and be ready for the next one. And actually... this bonus to the initial damage roll, not to any from ongoing effects of the impulse. I wonder how this works with blast barrage, because that is also impulse. Is it just the first strike, or is it every strike? This might work really, really well with blast barrage, depending on how that works. And I do think it's balanced. I do think it's balanced if it does work with all the attacks from blast barrage, because you don't do it on the turn that you activate it. So you have to bank on the fact that you're going to act on the next turn, depending on how situations go. Combats last between 3 to 5 rounds. When you're using this, you may get to use this maybe twice in a combat. So that one... Oh, hey, and it upgrades as you level up as well. Increases the bonuses. So you can... So, Blaster build, Stoke Element, really good. I agree, Toodles. This one's going to be a really good one. If not very long and complex. I am very scared because they get a ton of feats. They get more feats than any other class does currently in their current setup, which can be a big power gain. Even with their universal one, because they get essentially the same as the fighter does, plus one more. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. Aura shaping. At least one kinetic aura impulse. You exercise fine control over it. When you use a kinetic aura impulse, you can choose to make an aura of a a 15-foot emanation or 20-foot emanation. Furthermore, you can designate a number of creatures equal to your con modifier. These creatures are either immune to the benefits of the kinetic aura or are immune to its damage and drawbacks. You must choose the same effect for all creatures you designate, though you can change the selection and designate the creatures. Okay. Aura shaping seems to be from the elemental ones. So this one's going to make no sense until we look at the elements. Yes, the only sheet. The Kineticist is releasing next summer. And it's going to be one class. It's going to be one class. It's going to be the Kineticist. But that's because the Kineticist has like 5-6 feet tables. It's going to have 6 feet tables depending on what elements you pick. So it's going to get all dedication for one book. Chain Blast. The elemental matter in your blast keep reconstituting itself to travel onward, no matter how many bodies it collides with. Make a range elemental blast within the blast first range increment. If it hits, attempt a new range blast from the target against a different creature that's within the first range increment of that creature that was just hit, using the same multiple attack penalty as the first. Oh no. You can keep chaining the blast in this way each time you hit to a maximum of 5 total blasts. You can't target the same creature more than once per blast. Each strike counts towards your multiple attack penalty. Oh no. They all use your same multiple attack penalty. This doesn't even have press or anything like that. Oh no, this blast is really, really strong. You can strike 5 enemies. This is at level 10 too. This is stupid powerful. You're in a small room. You can blast all the enemies in the room with your full attack penalty. Or your full multi-attack penalty. Or without a multi-attack penalty. That's broken. That's really strong. It doesn't even have overflow. And this stacks with Stoke Elements. All of them will be. I mean, like, it's harder for some of them, but most combats take place in a room that's not much more than like 40 feet by 40 feet or 60 feet by 60 feet. Earth would be the only one I think that would really struggle. Water would be fine with 30 feet, I think, though. I mean, that's completely up. I like with how the modules are written. Yes, I think that also is to help reduce complexity. This game is really good for allowing your players to feel strong by throwing lots of mook enemies at them that are not very strong that they can take out in a couple hits. So it can really depend on the combat. Not only that, but I find that if you have such small combats, it's very much in the player's favor and doesn't offer as much difficulty. That's a table-to-table thing, though. Let's continue on with Kinesis. That's a conversation for a different day. Let's see. Deconstruct elements once per 10 minutes. You're targeted by an effect that has traits. Nice. Let's see here. Lets you attempt to control it. Even when the element is in another service, you attempt to counteract the effect. If you successfully counteract the effect and have a hand free, you can choose to catch some of the attack, allowing you to immediately gather that element as a part of the reaction. Cool. It has impulse, so this allows you to swap elements if you really want to. I like this one. I think this one's really good. I think I have nothing to complain about. I feel this one is very solid overall. Fusion Blast, Dual Gate. You have a hand free. Oh, we got a double blast here. With one element in one hand, you pull some of your other element into the other, then combine the two into a complex blast, making an elemental blast. Make an elemental blast and add the damage dice from your other elemental's blast to it. This uses the die size and damage type your other blast would normally deal, and its normal number of weapon damage dice. This doesn't add any damage other than that dice, nor does it add any of the blast traits. Fusion Blast counts as 2 attacks for your multi. So it's like a power attack. It's like a slightly better power attack. I like this one. I do like this one. I think they could have done this at an earlier level and just add extra damage dice of the same type, but of a different element. to have a power attack at an earlier level to be more useful. But I do think Fusion Blast is really, really good. It's very solid overall. It's a better power attack. You're getting 2 attacks worth of damage without adding your ability modifier, but you're getting their amount of dice. Really strong. Gather Amalgamation. Your inner gate briefly divides itself into 4 smaller channels, allowing you to gather a small bit of every element. This is a universal one. You gather all 4 elements of air, earth, fire, and water with the same effect and restrictions as gather element, except your hand either holds an amalgamation of all 4 elements or directs them to orbit your body. Since the elemental amalgamation contains all 4 elements, you can use it for any impulse. However, the smaller amount of each individual element means using any impulse will cause the element to dissipate from it. Dissipate from the amalgamation, not just overflow impulses. For instance, you could use the water dance impulse and then launch an elemental blast of air, which would cause water and air to dissipate, leaving you with an amalgamation of earth and fire you could use in another turn. That sounds really complex. It does sound like with gather amalgamation, though, allows you to gather 4 elements at once, and thus you can use some of your impulse abilities without worrying about overflow and keep striking. Really strong. Potentially really, really strong. I'd have to see the math on that one. Yeah, saving 2 actions equivalently. Like, I think the math checks out. I don't know. I'd have to see, and I'd have to digest everything I read here today to understand that one, I think. Rapid reattunement. You spend 10 minutes realigning your elemental connections in an elemental trance. Swap out one of your feats you have due to elemental flexibility, replacing it with another elemental. Okay, I like this one. It just allows you to flexibly change one of your. It's so complex. I love it. I love complex classes too, for sure. It's just hard to look at it and see the big picture right away. Rapid reattunement is really good. I mean, it just gives you a chance to swap one of your feats for the day more reactively. Gives you more flexibility at the cost of a feat. Not bad. Flowing kinetics, able to channel air, fire, or water. The loose and adaptable elements that flow through your inner gate let you move and adapt. When you use an impulse that has an air, fire, or water trait, and that takes at least 2 actions, you can either step or stride up to half your speed. You can do this either before or after the effects of the impulse. You can burrow, climb, fly, or swim up to half that speed instead of striding if you have the corresponding movement types. Flowing kinetics is so good. This is a great initiator. You gather element and then you say do fusion blasts. And you can run up on an enemy and fusion blast them, saving you an action. This is a really, really good one. This has really good action economy and allows you to be very, very good on the battlefield to keep very mobile. So this is a very, very good feat overall. Steadfast connects, the opposite, I'm assuming. The stability and strength felt when channeling a solid element leaves your body reinforced and ready to weather anything. When you use an impulse that has the earth trait and takes at least 2 actions, you gain 1 status bonus to AC and fortitude saves until the start of your next turn. Nice. Nice. If you're straight earth, you become tankier. Nothing to say about that. I think that's a pretty good one. +1 status bonus to AC stacks with the shield. You can have a shield, use earth impulse. And yeah, stacking that with the shield is really good, actually. You can go full on tank mode with that. That's pretty good. I like that. And it doesn't look like you have a lot of reaction take, so you can even take shield block and be even tankier. Effortless impulse. Your turn begins. A steady trickle from your inner gate maintains one of your impulses. You immediately gain the effects of a sustain a spell action, which, oh, okay. So they get a sustain a spell or sustain an impulse action as a free action every round. Cool. Imperious Aura. We don't know about auras yet, so it's not going to make any sense. Your glowing and majestic kinetic aura makes you as true marks you as a true child of the element. Sorry, my reading is 4th grade. Change your kinetic aura by using a different kinetic aura impulse. Oh, cool. You can swap your auras. I'm assuming this is good. You can swap your auras as a free action. That's pretty solid. I'm actually very excited for that. Again, the elemental weapon build, it just feels like there's something there. They might be their version of stances, yeah. Maelstrom Blast. You detonate your gathered element in a truly staggering number of elemental blasts. Choose one. Make a melee elemental blast against each enemy in the blast melee's reach. Air! Air's good for this one. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to complain about air's reach anymore. Or make a ranged elemental blast against each enemy in a cone with a length equal to the blast's first range increment. Oh, air again. 120-foot cone? 120-foot cone? Oh, God. 120 foot. You can clear the whole room. Each attack counts towards your multiple attack penalty, but you don't increase your... You can hit the whole room with air. You can just destroy a room with your air. Oh my God. Seems like the class is really bogged down action economy wise until higher levels. I don't think so, honestly. You can go double action. Well, I mean, I haven't read any of the other ones yet, so I don't know how the other impulses work. But a lot of it is just you're just a striker who uses blasts. The whole room and your friends. I mean, yeah. But, I mean, for the greater good, if there's more enemies and friends, technically, it's a net gain in damage against the enemy team. Just saying. Friends should adjust. You're an MMO player. I guarantee. Nourishing Gate. You can sustain yourself on a single drop of elemental dew. You gain a +2 status bonus to save throws against poison, sleep, and effects that would make you paralyzed. You don't need to breathe, eat, or sleep, though you still must take a full night's rest every 24 hours. During this time, you remain awake, alert, but must spend the time meditating or returning to your inner gate. Blah, blah, blah. Each class is doing in their own way. Nourishing Gate is very roleplay heavy. The benefits are not worth a level 18 feat in my opinion, but I do like the aesthetic of it. Final Fantasy 14, yes! Healers adjust? No. Everyone adjusts to the healer. Healer gets to say who lives or dies. You don't slap them in the face with it. I'm a healer, man, if you can't tell. Flawless Element. You perfected your control over one element. Choose an element. Any impulse of that element you use that normally takes 3 actions, take only 2 actions. I'm going to assume that's pretty good. That's extra action economy. I don't know how many 3 action ones there are. There has only been Maelstrom Blast so far. Omnikinesis. You can realign your inner gate with a thought. Replace one of the feats you have from the elemental... Oh... Omnikinesis is so good. You can swap feats in the middle of a fight. I mean, it's level 20, so who's actually going to get to use this, right? But that's really cool. That's so flexible. That's really, really cool. It has to be one of the feats from your flexibles, your elemental flexibility. But that's really strong, actually. This makes your character one of the most flexible in the game. All right. And no cooldown. Nothing. Yeah, you can just do this. This is really, really good. Last fight in the game swag. Yeah, exactly. All right. So for those of you who may be joining us a little bit later, we just got done reading the normal feats. We have 4 elemental feat tables to go through. Like air. We got more feat tables. We're not done. We're not anywhere. I thought I was going to get this done in an hour. Okay. All right. That's fine. Who needs sleep? Oh, wow. You could do it 3 times in a turn. I mean, yeah, I guess you only technically can get 2 feats, but I don't know. Maybe you're finicky and they're just like, yeah, I actually didn't like that one. Just full load up. Right in the fight. All right. Aerial Boomerang. I love aerial boomerangs. If anyone plays Phantom Dust, it's the Sonic Boom right here. Aerial Boomerang, 2 actions. Impulse. Overflow. So this will cause your element to dissipate, so you will need to reload equivalently after this action. A blade of shearing wind races away from you in a 60-foot line. Each creature in the area takes 2d4 slashing damage with a basic reflex saving throw against your class CC. In the final square of the line, the boomerang rolls in place. Any creature that ends its turn in the square has to save against the boomerang. At the start of your next turn, the boomerang returns in a line from its square to your current location with the same effect as the initial line. If the boomerang doesn't have a line of effect to you, it dissipates. And every odd level, it will go up by an additional d4. That's pretty good. That's really solid. If you're in a hallway, the enemies are not going to have much choice but to take your boomerang twice. That's worth it. Yeah, that's worth the overflow. That's a really good action. Air cushion. Trigger. A creature within 60 feet is falling. Gentle air currents flow upward to slow the creature's fall. Target slows to 60 feet per round. The target's fall slows to 60 feet per round. The cushion ends when the target reaches the ground. Creature takes no damage from the fall. Really good. That means they don't end up prone. The cushion expires if the creature doesn't reach the ground within 1 minute. But any distance it fell during that minute does not count against its damage. Really good. You can't use air cushion again while you have one in effect. At 8th level, the creature can be within 120 feet, and there's no restriction on the number of air cushions you can create. Other than the fact that you gotta hope that everyone doesn't die before you get enough reactions to do so. So air cushion is good. It's a feather fall. It's a feather fall ability, which I like. That's a really good ability, honestly. You never know. People will fall no matter what campaign you're running. Someone will fall and take fall damage. That's a value feat. That's a value feat. Fair winds, 2 actions. Wind swirling around you. Impulse. Kinetic aura. We got our first kinetic aura and not an overflow. Wind swirl around you, providing a tailwind to your speed and your allies. Headwind. Squares in the air. Squares in the aura are difficult terrain for your enemies. You gain a 5-foot status bonus to your land speed. Any of your allies that start their turn in the aura gain a 10-foot status bonus to their land speeds until the end of their turn. These bonuses also apply to fly speeds for creatures. So wait, you gain 5, but your allies gain 10? Okay. What's the size of auras? Did I miss something before? Was there a box I missed? Because there's a feat you can get that can increase the size of your auras. Ah, here it is. I did miss it. Impulse. Any kinetic aura is a 10-foot emanation. Okay. Second, if you already are in a kinetic aura, it takes you 1 action fewer to use different kinetic aura impulses with the same elemental traits. That's good to know. I did not know that. This can't reduce the impulses below 1 action. So if you're swapping between them, it's actually 1 action fewer. You can get a feat that makes it a free action. But they're a 10-foot emanation, and you can make your auras massive because, oh god, whoa. What one? Aura shaping. Level 8, you can make your aura a 15 or 20-foot emanation. And at 12th level, it can be 25 or 30 feet. So, okay. We all got that down. Very solid. Make sure your allies go super fast. You go a little bit faster as well. This is status bonus, though. So this does not stack with Swashbuckler Panache, nor does it stack with Monk speed increase. Something important to remember. Or Barbarian, I think. Or there's a Barbarian one that allows them to get more speed while they're raging. I can't remember, but that's also status, I believe. Whisper on the winds. Though you speak in a gentle whisper, a soft wind carries your words afar. This effect has the effects of the message spell. If you start your message with the target's name, you and the target don't need to be able to see each other, nor do you need line of effect. Oh my god, better message spell? That's really good, and at level 8, you get, it's a mile. Fleets, no. Fleet is a flat increase. It doesn't have an actual modifier, so it stacks with all other increases. I love Whisper on the Wind. This is so good for espionage. You just have to hold the wind in your hand and you whisper into the winds because it has impulse. You have to have your element gathered. Pretty good. Fling updraft, 2 actions. Air, impulse, okay. Speeding wind heeds your call, picking someone up and depositing them nearby. Choose a creature within 60 feet of you. That target jumps up to 30 feet in any direction. If it doesn't land on a space of solid ground within 30 feet of when it started, it falls, but it doesn't take any damage from the fall. You choose the distance and direction of the jump. An unwilling target avoids being flung if it succeeds at a reflex save against your class DC. You can fling all your friends off a cliff and they won't take damage. I don't know how this does not just completely remove air cushion, other than the fact that air cushion's a reaction, which is good. But yeah, if they fall, they don't take any damage from the fall. 10th level, you can either make the target jump up to 60 feet or target up to 5 creatures instead. All your friends can jump off the cliff at once. When they say, you know, when your mom asks if your friends jumped off a cliff, would you? You'd be like, yeah, if one of them is a kineticist. Interesting. Soothing Breeze, 3 actions. Healing, Impulse, Overflow. We got healing ability. Gentle refreshing breeze ripples through the air in a 20-foot burst with 3 effects. The breeze extinguishes small non-magical fires, disperses fog, yada yada. Each living creature in the area regains 3d4 HP and is then temporarily immune to HP from Soothing Breeze for 10 minutes. Nice. Every even level after this one, it increases by an additional d4. Really good. This is amazing. This is infinite healing outside of combat. This is literally like a slightly worse AoE lay on hands outside of combat. But yeah, good. Great. I think air is great. I think air is being really made to be the support one, which I think is cool. Clear as air. 2 actions, impulse, overflow. This will get rid of your gathered elements. Compact layers of air diffract and bend light around you, making you become invisible until the end of your next turn. You can sustain the impulse, but it ends if you take a hostile action. After you use this impulse, it can't be used again for 10 minutes. While you're as clear as air, you can gather air quietly and invisibly, but the invisibility doesn't hide any manifestations of your other abilities. The impulse doesn't end if you take hostile action, but you become concealed instead of invisible until the start of your next turn. And level 16, you just are invisible. That's really good. You just get invisibility at level 6. And at level 10, it becomes slightly better. And at level 16, you're just straight up invisible until the start of your next turn. No action requirement. Or no limitations other than the 10-minute, being immune. So, that's pretty good. Storm Spiral, 3 actions. Impulse, Overflow. Dark thunderclouds swirl in a miniature storm around you. The storm appears in a 10-foot burst within 30 feet. Each creature in that area takes 3d12 electricity damage and is moved depending on the reflex saving throw against your class. Pretty good. They can get pushed, and they take double damage and get pushed even further. And then every 3 levels, it goes up by an additional d12. Not bad. Not bad. Overall. It's a good area attack. Very solid area attack. Does electricity damage. Yeah. Solid. Especially for level 6. Celestial Palisade. That sounds fun. 3 actions. Impulse. Overflow. The winds form a swirling barrier to repel anyone who had passed. This has the effect of a wall of wind, except the wall is 30 feet long, and a creature attempting to fly through the wall attempts to save against your class DC. The wall lasts until the end of your next turn, but you can sustain it up to a minute. Using Celestial Palisade again ends any previous ones you've created. The wall's length increases every level after this by 5 feet. Every level. Could make some kind of ninja build with wind mixed up with Dex class. You could also do support. I think Kineticist is really good. My only thing is they had to make a whole ass book for one class because they're like, oh man, this is like gonna be 30 pages. Yeah, we're only making one class this year because they're like, we could give them spells, we could just give them access to spells. Nah, we're just gonna instead make up whole new actions to do spell-like effects. I mean, good on them, I guess. I like the class. I think it's really great. If you play a kineticist, you're just gonna have to hold the whole book for when your DM asks you a question because it's all gonna be in there. Wings of Air, 2 actions, impulse, no overflow, so you can keep your gathered element. Rippling sheaves of wind emerge behind you, looking almost like wings. Wings lift you up into air, granting you a fly speed equal to your land speed or 30 feet, whichever is greater, for 10 minutes. Unlike with a normal fly speed, you don't fall at the end of your turn if you didn't use a fly action, as long as you use an air impulse that turn, and you can move upward without treating it as difficult terrain. That's really good. Holy crap. You can target out to 5. You get flight. You just fly. That's broken. For 10 minutes? No limitations? No cooldown? That's getting redone. Let me tell everyone right now. Wings of Air is getting redone, so don't get too excited. They have a very particular thing about characters who can fly, and they have level 16 is like the permissible level of flight. That's getting super redone. So I apologize. It's getting redone though. It'll probably be a minute with a 10-minute cooldown. That's what I think they'll do with it. But yeah, and at 14th level, everyone can fly. That's really strong. That's really strong. All right. we're gonna shelve that one for now. Yeah, and for those for people who never fly, flying up is really hard. It's difficult terrain. It actually messes with flight a lot. A lot of flying creatures have a lot of movement speed, though, that make up for it. The fact that you ignore that makes that even stronger. Circulate Key. Impulse Overflow. The pure air from your inner gate is rich in Ki that you can use to invigorate or restore an alien creature. Target an adjacent living creature. They gain 30 HP. In the circulate attempts to counteract one of the following conditions. You can remove blinded, clumsy, deafened, drained, enfeebled, paralyzed, sickened, or stupefied. Counteracting condition with a condition value reduces the value by 1 instead of entirely removing it, though. Then the target is immune for 1 hour. You can try to remove an instance of a condition from a creature given only once using this impulse, though you can try to remove the same condition from a different source. For instance, yeah, they're just saying that thankfully only you ignore, not your allies. True. Still way too strong. But yes. So they do mention Jiangxi vampires, and they mention Ki here. I am going to predict that they are going to release a world book next year around when this one comes out for Tianshan. That makes me think they're going to release a world book for Tianshan. So if you guys like the Eastern aesthetic, I think they're going to come out with some more stuff for it next year around the time they release this book. So around next summer. I think that's going to be really cool. 30 HP, really good. Can clear an effect, pretty solid. Has overflow, but I think it's pretty worth it. Yeah. But the character is already kind of themed after like Tianshan. Ki is another one, and then they mention this vampire specifically in the writing when they could have used a multitude of other different, examples. So, just I'll put the tinfoil hat on. That's my crackpot theory. We'll see if I'm right next year. Wiles on the Wind, 2 actions. Impulse. Speaking Lies You set them loose upon a drifting wind. You create an auditory illusion that comes from a square within 120 feet and can be as loud as 4 normal humans talking. 4 normal humans talking, not screaming. Okay, important. Shouting is for like ghost sound. The sound can be intricate, including speech, or it can be intricate. Ooh. Though the GM might require you to attempt to check or know a language for it to be convincing. You can make each creature within 20 feet of the illusion attempt a will save against your class DC. On a failure, they become fascinated with the source of the sound for 1 round. This is a mental effect. A creature becomes temporarily immune for 1 hour immediately if it succeeds at its save, or after its fascination ends if it fails. A creature can seek the source of the sound using your class DC. On a success, it disbelieves the illusion. That's a really good illusion. That's a really good distraction. That's really good. And another reason why this is particularly really strong is because it is not a spell. You do not have to cast a spell, which is a loud action because you have to speak in a strong voice, as it says, to use this distraction. This is really good for espionage. This is a very good, strong action overall. Body of air, 2 actions. Impulse, overflow. Letting your gathered air consume you. Letting your gathered air consume you disperses your body. Okay. Leaving only a cloud of living vapor. This has the same effects as gaseous form, but grants you resistance 10. This lasts until the end of your next turn, but you can sustain the form. Free gaseous form. You also have no limit. You can keep using gaseous form as much as you want. Yes. If you type into your search bar Pathfinder 2e playtests, this will be one of the first options you find. So you can pick this up. This is open playtest material for everyone to check out. So definitely go check it out. Body of air, super strong. You get gaseous form as a free spell that you can use an unlimited number of times. Okay then. Ferocious Cyclone, 2 actions. Impulse, overflow. Intense winds swirl and compress in your hands, then burst in a narrow but powerful tornado. Each creature in a 10-foot wide, 60-foot line, I don't know why that's cut off at the bottom there, takes 7d10 bludgeoning damage with a reflex save against your class DC. The creature is unaffected. The creature takes half damage. Full damage is pushed 10 feet directly away from you. Directly away from the central axis. So they actually go out. Interesting. Crits, double damage, push 20 feet. Every 3 levels after this, so at level 17 and 20, it goes an additional d10. Weird. I don't know. I did get in early, but yeah, weird. Ferocious Cyclone is okay. Doesn't technically compare to body of air because that gives you infinite gaseous form. So, but it's pretty good. I think it's really, really cool. I really think that they went all out with the kineticist, and I think it's really cool. 18th level, Infinite Expanse of Blue Heavens, because that's a feat name. All right, 3 actions. Let's see what this does. Impulse, overflow. I expected much from that name. A sphere of disordered air creates an illusion of limitless expanse of impossibly blue sky, all within the feel of I can envision this just by the description. Feel the overwhelming sensation of falling forever. There's a if anyone's read anything on the Rusty Quill, the Magnus Files or the Magnus Archive, there is one of the stories is pretty much this. Each creature in the area must attempt a will save against each creature in the area, allies included. Each creature in the area must attempt a will save against your class DC. A creature that has the air trait gets a result 1 degree of success better. The illusion lasts until the end of your next turn, but you can sustain it. The illusion has no effect on creatures that weren't in the area when you use the impulse. Any effect of the illusion ends of the creature as soon as it leaves the area or the impulse ends, and the creature becomes temporarily immune for 10 minutes. Using Infinite Expanse of Blue Heavens, oh my god, again, ends the previous one you created. No limit on the number of times you can create it. 3 actions. And what's it do? Oh, here it is. They either become flat-footed or the creature is flat-footed. It's fleeing from the illusion sky, but is also disoriented. Anytime it uses an action to attempt to flee, it must make a DC 11 flat check or flee to a space that is still within the illusion. That's pretty cool. That's a scary one. This is some cosmic horror shit right here. That's a fun one. That's a very fun one. Crowned in Tempest Fury, 2 actions, Impulse, Aura, and Overflow. You reach out to find a devastating thunderstorm on the plane of air and make yourself one with it, placing a crown of lightning on your brow. Super aesthetic. Sparks flash in your eyes and lightning strikes. Whoever wrote Air, Joe really needs to write a book. Their descriptions are so good. Any creature that enters your kinetic aura or ends its turn, any creature, takes 2d12 electric damage, not even a basic saving throw. They straight up take 2 electricity damage just by being near you. If you don't have a fly speed, you now gain a 20-foot fly speed. Whoa, why so slow? If you have a Wings of Air impulse, you instead gain that fly speed and the extra benefits. Oh, but you get... Oh, okay, I see. You get a 10 plus bonus status to your speeds as well. So it's 20 foot. It'll give you 30 normally. And if you have the other one, it makes your movement plus 10. If you use an air elemental blast, it deals additional 1d12 electricity damage. Crowned in Tempest Fury is really good, and honestly less confusing than the other one to say. That's true. You can exclude people with aura shaping. Remember aura shaping. I'm going to say right now, one thing in the playtest I'm finding with how everything is designed is the lack of limitations. They essentially get spell-like effects of pretty significant level with no limitations. Is there no burn in this class at all? Yeah, it does. What do you mean burn? Are you talking fire? Or are you talking like resource? Because right now they don't have a resource cost for anything. That's, I think, going to get redone. I think that's going to be their number one complaint, and I'm absolutely hoping that it gets fixed. Because they get way too many abilities that are spell-like effects infinitely. Yeah, and that was their thing, and that made them kind of broken, and I don't want to see that happen. Oh, yeah, you're talking about how they could, HP burn. Yeah. No, there's no HP burn. They've removed that completely. Yeah. All right, Earth. Oh, God. We still have 3 more elements. I'm going to try to go through these really fast. We're going to have to see. Geological attunement. 2 actions. Impulse. Aura. You become in tune with the earth and stone around you. Senses through, pulling it towards you and rippling wave. You gain tremor sense. Imprecise in your kinetic area. And you turn earth and stone in your aura into difficult terrain. If you move during your turn, these effects are suppressed until the end of your turn. Pretty cool. That's really interesting. Tremor sense becomes precise at level 13. I love this one. Geological attunement actually sounds super fun. I don't know, you're going to be going all in on the elements, so I don't mind. Yeah, no, it's still... Spellcasters are limited by their actions and spell slots. This is still too strong, in my opinion. Stepping stones, 2 actions. Impulse. Discs of rock appear around you, and you place them to make a new path. You can either set stones horizontally to make a path across the ground or a liquid, or you can anchor them into a vertical surface to make steps going up the side of it. The path can be up to 20 feet long, and steps can extend up to 10 feet up the side of a surface. All squares must be contiguous. No square can be more than 60 feet away from you. Moving across the path lets a creature ignore difficult terrain and hazardous terrain from the ground. The disc lasts up until the end of your next turn, but you can sustain the impulse up to 10 minutes. Pretty cool. Every odd level after this one, it increases the length of the path by 10 feet and increases its height, or increases its height by 5 feet. Or is interesting there, because that means eventually it just becomes a vertical straight up climb. So I don't know. Interesting. Stone Shield. I'm gonna like this one already. Earth seems like it's gonna be really tanky. I'm very excited. Stone Shield, 1 action impulse. You raise a floating shield of stone. Oh. Yeah, I do like this one. You get a free shield. You raise shield, turning your gathered element into a shield and gaining a +2 circumstance bonus to AC until the start of your next turn. While the shield is raised, you also gain a +2 circumstance bonus to fortitude saving throws and fortitude DCs. You can use shield block reaction with the stone shield. The shield has a hardness of 6, and after you shield block with it, the stone crumbles and you lose the AC and fortitude bonus and the gathered elements. Okay, interesting. It does give you free shield block, but it does dissipate immediately after you shield block, and it only has a hardness of 6. Oh, but the hardness goes up by 3 every odd level. Ooh, okay, that's 36, right? No, 33? Okay, I'm dumb. Bear with me. At 3rd, it will be 9. At 5, it will be 12. At 7, it'll be 11. That's really strong already. At at that's a really strong one. That's a really strong one. That shield will be able to block a lot. You only get to do it once. So if you get multi-attacked, you still are going to take a lot of time. Math is hard. Leave me alone, okay? I do love that they can raise a shield. I find it weird that they essentially get access to shield block with it, but it's a one-time, doesn't matter. Yeah, nothing stops you from making another shield, other than the fact that you can't do that until your next turn anyway. So, you know, that's really strong, and it's a shield with infinite health, technically, that they can use only once per round, though. And the hardness gets really, really high. That hardness is going to get reduced if they're going to keep it this way. It can be pretty Mathfinder, but honestly, it's not that bad. This one, there's a lot of stuff going on with the newer classes that make it very Mathfinder, I'll admit, for sure. Remember, yeah. Well, I didn't do all of them, okay? I'm sorry. I'll keep going. Tremor, 2 actions, impulse, overflow. You strike the earth, unleashing a small localized tremor and a 5-foot burst within 30 feet. Each creature in the area takes 2d4 bludgeoning damage with a basic fort saving throw against your class DC. Creatures that critically fail this saving throw take double damage, right? Nope, they're knocked prone. Ground in the area is difficult terrain until the start of your next turn. Oh, that's rough stuff. It's basic saving throw, so they will take double damage anyway. But if they get knocked prone and it's rough terrain, if you get early initiative with Tremor, you can mess someone up really bad for the rest of that fight. That's devastating, and every odd level goes up by an additional d4. That's pretty devastating. All right, that really messes up how a combat can flow. Holy crap. Dust Storm, 2 action, impulse, aura. We got another aura. I'm very excited about these. Swirling vertex of sand and dust surrounds you. Each creature inside in your weird kinetic aura. They could just say each creature in your kinetic aura is concealed from any creature that is not adjacent to it, and any creature not adjacent to the creature is likewise concealed. When you use this impulse, and at the start of each of your turns, you can move one creature in the aura 5 feet. This can't move the creature farther away from you. If the target is unwilling, it must make a fort save. So you just like suck them up into a hurricane? Oh, darn it. Gosh darn it. All right, 1 second here. I'm going to address this real quick. I'm so sorry. The bots, and I don't have my mod today. Alex, you disgrace me. Let me deal with this bot real quick. We don't need to hear my audio. Reports. Pornographic. Gone. Alright. Then remove. 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 Could have just done that. Okay, cool. Sorry about that, everyone. Had to fix that. Meet local kineticists near you. Are you a fan of Twister? Yeah, this is a very strange one. Duststorm just swirls people around you, allies or foes. Interesting. That's really weird. No, Air had a similar thing, actually. If we look at Air. No second level. They do seem to skip levels for these. They do have a lot of feats, though, so, you know. It makes sense. All right, fourth level, restoring mud, 2 actions. We got some healing mud. Slap some mud on that wound there. There can't be anything wrong with that. Impulse, healing, necromancy. Did the other one not have necromancy? Actually, I'd have to check that one out. You fling a ball of healing mud at a creature within 30 feet. Upon impact, the mud coats the target's body, healing their wounds and leaving behind a thin shell. The target regains 2d6 hit points and 2 temporary hit points that lasts for a minute. The target is then temporarily immune for this for 10 minutes. Every even level after this, it goes up by a d6 in restored HP and 2 temporary HP. I like this one. I think it's really fun. I think extra healing. There's no limit, so you can just... Well, there's limits of 10 feet, but I mean, you can do this to all your teammates during a fight. A little worse than the Air one, as far as like group healing is concerned, but pretty good overall. Igniogenesis, 6th level, 2 actions. Impulse, overflow. You can create a permanent stone object, either sculpting stone pulled directly from your inner gate or manipulating earth and stone around you. The object must be relatively simple in shape and cannot include any intricate parts, moving pieces, or fine details. It must fit within a 5-foot cube that's adjacent to you, and you can't make the object large enough to occupy the square. If you create the object underneath you or another willing creature, the target can then rise into the air. You can't create it under an unwilling creature. The object lasts until you use Igniogenesis again, at which point the earth gently returns to normal. If you transform the environment or it transfers the environment or returns back to the plane of earth that you pulled through your inner gate. You can attempt a crafting skill check as part of this skill to add small details to your creation, such as a symbol, short message, or pattern. Cute. You can add an additional 5-foot cube to the object. Each cube must be contiguous. You could make a stone maze with this kind. Not really. Every 3 levels, so 3 or 6, 9, whatever. It's not poop, I swear. You're playing a goblin monkey, or a monkey goblin. Yeah, nice stone chair. You can do the Virgil meme, the Virgil status meme, whenever you want with this. Actually, I love that, actually. You can just go and just be super pompous and just make a stone throne for yourself wherever you go, whenever you want. Anywhere, because you can also generate the stone from yourself. So you can just be chilling with everyone and be like, all right, guys, I'm just going to pop down to my, let me use my crafting check to make it a throne. Kind of, yeah. It can't make a wall, though. It has to be an object. But interesting. Rolling boulder. Impulse. Overflow. You your gathered earth into a spherical boulder that crashes into everyone in its path, possibly knocking them aside. The boulder travels 30 foot in a line, hitting each creature in order until it reaches the end of the line, or it strikes a solid surface, like a wall, door, or tree. Each creature takes 2d8 bludgeoning damage with a basic reflex saving throw, it looks like. Creature takes half damage, creature takes full damage, and moves into an open space not in the path of the boulder. This is forced movement. If the creature doesn't have a space to move into, it's knocked prone instead. You can flatten creatures with this one. I love it. As failure, but double damage. And every 3 levels, it goes up by an additional d8. Can it make defensive walls? It does say specifically the object must be simple in shape and cannot include any intricate parts. Has to be an object. It doesn't give a hardness or anything like that, so I would say rules as written, that's up to the GM. And you don't gain many 5-foot cubes. You can do maybe a 20-foot wall, which is still strong because you can just keep doing it with no limitations. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say. I hope that they clarify that in the future. Spike Skin, 2 actions, Impulse. Well, no, an object in the game doesn't classify as an object, because an object is something that, like, it counts as a structure, actually. Walls are structures. They do not count as objects. You could argue they could provide cover. I don't know. This is GM's discretion. I don't like. Why not provide yourself? I mean, you still have to take an action to cover, so like, there's no major action gain from doing that. But yeah, I don't know. I could say cover. I could say cover, mostly because you still have to take an action to take cover to get the benefits of it. I guess you could get light cover, though. But why not just make an infinite shield wall? A line of basic pillars. It's true. All right, Spike Skin, 2 actions, Impulse. You touch a willing creature, causing its skin to harden and spiky. Oh, this one you can give to other people. That's actually kind of cool. Target gains resistance 4 to physical damage, except adamantine. Whenever the target is hit by an adjacent creature with a melee attack, oh my god, that's so good. It lasts for 10 minutes, but each time the target is hit by a bludgeoning, slashing, or piercing attack, the duration decreases by 1 minute. You get Stone Skin. You get a slightly worse Stone Skin, but for free. If the target is temporarily immune to this impulse for 1 hour. If you use this ability again, the previous one ends. I think this one is more balanced than the other constant spell effect ones, though. I will say. This one seems a little bit more balanced. But that's still a really good effect, and you can apply it to anyone, which is really cool. Swim through the earth. Impulse. Earth parts before you, letting you swim. You gain a burrow speed equal to your speed and can immediately burrow once. I see. Because it's an action. Okay. I was like, you get a... What? Okay, I get it now. You don't gain the ability to breathe while in the earth, so you must hold your breath. You don't leave a tunnel behind you that others can follow. The benefit lasts until the end of your next turn, but you can sustain it up to a minute. If you're inside the earth when the impulse ends, you immediately return to the surface directly above you. When you do, you're prone and slowed until the end of your next turn. Oh. Yeah. I mean, you just don't end it inside of the ground, but like, that's rough. You can move through the stone. You can move through stone and lava, though you still take damage from lava unless something else protects you against it. I mean, technically... yeah, I guess it's viscous. Interesting. That's a fun one. I definitely don't think there's enough burrow speed in Pathfinder 2e. So I'm always excited to see more burrow speed in Pathfinder. Technically, though, you're just, again, infinite burrow. Because you can sustain it, and then you can just reuse it again to do it again. I don't know. Because you don't become immune to it. You just can sustain it. I guess you slow down, so you can't move really fast. But Hurtling Rockfall, 2 actions. Impulse, Overflow. Drawing forth power around the earth, you create a ball of stone between your hands and lob it at your foes. Where it lands, it unleashes a blast of razor-sharp shrapnel. The ball deals 3d8 bludgeoning damage to all creatures in a 5-foot razor-sharp bludgeoning damage. Okay. To all creatures in a 5-foot square within 60 feet. The shrapnel slices creatures in that square and in a 10-foot emanation around it. There's the razor sharp shrapnel. 2d6 slashing in a 10-foot emanation. Each creature in either area attempts a basic reflex save against against your class DC. A creature in the 5-foot square uses the same result against both types of damage. Oh, so it's a Harrier Splash Bomb. Cool. Yeah, maybe. Let's see. And then it levels up pretty decently. 48 and 3d6. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't scale as well as spells. But, and I think that's one of the important things that they've done right, at least with Kinesis so far. Whatever damage things they get, like, infinite spells worth, they're always worse than spells of that level. And, I will reiterate, combats last between 3 to 5 rounds. You're gonna get a worse spell for 3 to 5 actions while casters get better. So it's not broken in damage. It's just broken by some of the utility some of these offer. Some of these abilities have massive utility, like infinite flight. So, at level 8. 14th level, Assume Earth's Mantle. Why do the higher level abilities just get longer and longer names? They need to stop. Impulse, Overflow. You gather Earth splits into plates of stone surrounding you in rocky armor that grants you a number of powerful... I love these abilities. They're so good. So aesthetic. The armor lasts for 1 minute. You can dismiss the armor, but if you do, you cannot create a new one until the full minute has passed. Interesting. You become large if you were smaller. Becoming large increases your reach by 5 feet. You gain a climb speed equal to your land speed, but you can use it only to climb surfaces of earth, stone, or brick. Cool. The armor has a 5 item bonus to AC, a dexterity cap of +1, that's pretty good, a check penalty of 2, and a speed penalty of 5. You don't gain any bonuses from any other armor you're wearing, and it has no strength requirements. No strength requirements. So if you want to go a super dex-based build, you can still get the benefit of this armor, which is really cool. The armor grants you a +2 item bonus to fort saves and a +2 circumstance bonus to fort or reflex saves against being shoved, tripped, or knocked prone. Okay, yeah. If your strength is below 18, the armor raises your strength to 18. That's pretty good. If your strength is 18 or higher, this armor grants you a +2 item bonus to your strength score. Yeah, you can just dumb strength and then just eventually just get good at strength. Okay, that's really strong. The armor's item bonus increases to +6, and the item bonus to fort saves increases to +3. That's really good. Now, the only reason why this is not necessarily good AC is because armor with potency runes on it are going to necessarily be better than this. Plus property runes. But that's pretty good overall. You also become large. Becoming large, though you do lose the benefits of any other armor you're wearing. I don't know. This one's a mixed bag. It seems really strong on the surface, but when you break it down, the basic effect is you don't have to buy your own armor. Stone Guardian. Impulse. You beckon an elemental spirit through your gate, creating a stationary stone guardian. The guardian is a medium and appears in an unoccupied space on the ground within 30 feet. Has AC of 30 and 120 hit points. Whew, that's a beefy boy. And it's immune to critical hits and precision damage. It uses your saving throw bonuses. Interesting. But automatically fails reflex saving throws. Makes sense. The Stone Guardian lasts until the end of your next turn, but you can sustain it for a minute. Each time you sustain a guardian, you can have it make a melee fist strike against one enemy of your choice. The Guardian has a reach of 10 feet, pretty good, and the attack modifier is +25, and it does 3d8 plus 10 bludgeoning damage. If the attack is a critical hit, the foe is knocked prone. The attack bonus and damage roll can't be altered by any other abilities. Allies with the Guardian, so you can't use that one that boosts impulses. Allies within the Guardian's reach are under its protection, gaining cover. This cover can't be used to hide. Within its reach? That creates a lot of cover. Holy crap. That's really good. All your allies get a +1 to their AC just by being near it for its basic cover. The Stone Guardian's attack bonus, strike damage, and AC increases by +1, and its hit points increase by +10 every level above this. Oh my god, you get a free animal companion. Only it's a rock dude who can't move. And only can attack once when you sustain it, but that's pretty good. And you can get a feat that can let you sustain these as a free action. That's pretty good. Okay. 18. We're almost halfway done. Rebirth and Living Stone. Impulse. Overflow. Polymorph. Interesting. Rock flows over you from within you to consume your form before cracking open to reveal a body transform into living stone. You gain a +40 temporary hit points. You're immune to critical hits and precision damage. That's really good. And you can't be pushed, pulled, or tripped while you're standing on earth or stone. That's also really good. The damage die of your earth elemental blast is D10 instead of D8. While under this effect, you can gather element to gather earth as a free action at the start of your turns. This benefit lasts until the end of your next turn, but you can sustain it up to a minute. At level 20, you get 50 temp HP, and your elemental blast becomes a D12. I mean, yeah, you can't really... Let's see. Can you move? Yeah? That's a really good ability. You get another feat essentially for free in it, because you can gather your element as a free action. Has to be earth. But still, that's really strong. Shatter Mountain Weeps. These names. 3 actions, level 18. Impulse, Overflow. A massive sphere of rock appears overhead, exploding in a cataclysm of falling debris and deadly shrapnel. Its destruction falls in a 20-foot burst within 120 feet. That's long distance. Creatures in the area take a 9d10 bludgeoning damage with a basic fort save against your class DC. Those who fail their save are knocked prone. For the next minute, rocks continue to fall in the area, making it difficult terrain and dealing 2d10 bludgeoning damage to any creature that ends its turn in the area. If you use this ability again, any previous area immediately ends. That's really strong. Oh my goodness. Holy crap. And not only that, but the 2d10 is not a basic saving throw. So they're in the area, they just get messed up. Okay, so I wanna say right now, looking halfway through this already, and the fact that they're adding 2 more elemental trees, essentially, when this comes out, I am going to say that they're going to probably much more heavily readjust. I think they want to keep a lot of the same ideas. I do like the fact that they get a lot of abilities that they can use their elements with. They get a lot of feats, though. I feel like they're really strong. I feel like they need a little bit more limitations, a little bit more like once per hour kind of stuff, maybe. If they made a lot of this stuff once per hour, I think I'd have a lot less to say about the power of this class overall. So I think when they actually release Kineticist, I think a lot of these will either have that limitation or be much more structured in a way that doesn't feel like they're just getting free spellcasting. I see they've come back. Man, when you get popular, you just get all the bots. Unfortunate. I apologize to those in the YouTube chat. All right. We're halfway done with the feats. How's everyone holding on? Actually, let's talk to chat. Is this too much? Should I pick this up on Table Talk? finish up on table talk this week, or do y'all want to keep going? I'm willing to push through to finish off these last two in like the next 30 minutes. No more. No more? Okay, got you. I understand. I understand. No, you want more. I said I'm willing. Modern day struggles. Yeah, for real. It seems like everyone's still here. Everyone's still ready to keep going. All right, we're going to keep going. Maybe it's also because fire is coming up, and I know so many of you love fire. It's okay, Catholic. I'm just prepping for when I have to do the why kineticist is cool. I don't know. Why kineticist is cool might be my shortest video because I'm like, why kineticist is cool? Have you read the class? Video done. I think that'd be a funny video. I think people would want a legit version of it, but I think that'd be a funny video. Kineticist looks really, really strong. Maybe a little too strong, like I've been saying. But I do think they're really strong. I know the Paizo team. I've talked to many of them. This will feel really good and will be properly balanced by the time it comes out. They just sometimes need to run the numbers a little bit more. Burning Jet, 2 actions, Impulse. A condensed burst of flame shoots behind you, propelling you forward with sheer force stride up to 40 feet in a straight line. This movement doesn't trigger reactions. That's really cool. April 1st, maybe, yeah. I love characters with, like, in animes with dynamic movement, especially ones that use, like, flames to boost themselves. That's really cool. You just use your hands as jet engines, and you just run real fast. Now, it's 2 actions to move more and not provoke reactions. This is really good to blast you out of enemy reach, but it is 2 actions. And you go way further. 60 feet at 6th level, you can choose not to stride and instead leap 40 feet in any direction. If you're in the air at the end of this leap, you fall normally. 10th level at 6th, but you hover briefly after leaping into the air. If you leap, you don't fall until the end of your next turn using your Burning Jet again. Subsequent. If you use, you can stay airborne. You can stay airborne. You can become a jet. What? I mean, it's 2 actions every turn. But what? You don't fly. You don't get higher or anything like that. You just continue to leap. But that's fun. I like Burning Jet. That's really good. Eternal Torch, Impulse, Lights. So it's a light effect. Lancing a pinprick through planar boundaries, you create a minute connection to your inner gate. Choose just large enough for a torch flame to flow. Choose a target creature or object you can touch. You create a torch-like flame that either orbits a target creature or emits it from the target object. The flame has an unlimited duration. It's bright and as hot as a torch, but the flame can be any color you choose. If the target is a weapon, you still need to use it as an improvised weapon to attack with the flame. Okay. You can have a maximum number of eternal torches equal to your level. You can dismiss each torch normally if you want to create a new one while you're at your maximum. At 8th level, all your torches, even ones you've already created, shed bright light in a 60-foot radius. You leave your parents at home. You leave them a nice gift. You're like, keep the house lit all the time. And then later on in your venture, the whatever it is at your parents' house just blinds them. And they're like, what's happening? Our nice little gift is now blindingly bright. I love that. That's really funny. That's really, really funny. I also like how they manage it so that it's not broken, but you can do anyone can do flame damage with you around with this, which can be really strong. Oh, I really want my champion with elemental sword dedication of fire kinetic dedication. That would be perfect for him. Well, just gotta wait till next summer. Flame Eruption, Impulse, Overflow. With sorry, I'm still laughing at the last one. It's just really tickled me. With an upward gesture, you shape a vertical column of spiraling flame. The cylinder is 5 feet in diameter and 30 feet high, and the bottom must be within 30 feet of you. Each creature in the area takes 1d6 fire damage with a basic reflex saving throw against your class DC. The flame remains briefly, making all squares in this column hazardous terrain until the start of your next turn. A creature takes 1 fire damage each time it moves through one of its squares. Oh, excuse me, I apologize. A large or larger creature, yeah, takes the damage only once, even if it moves into multiple squares at the same time. The initial damage increases by 1d6 and hazardous terrain damage increases by 1 every 3 levels. So 4, 7, 10, yeah. Pretty good overall. This is a great way to create some hazardous terrain. This one scales very poorly though. I feel like Flame Eruption will be something you'll train out of later. Warming Nimbus. Impulse. Waves of pleasant warmth flow from you, countering the cold and magically sheltering you against heat. Choose cold or fire. You and all creatures in your kinetic aura gain resistance equal to your level to that damage. Perfect for fighting dragons that breathe fire or cold. If you have the Elemental Resistance class feature, your resistance from Warming Nimbus is cumulative with any resistance of the same type you gain from that class feature. That's really good. The fact that it stacks is really good, and I like this one. I like this one a lot, and it's a level 1 feat, so that's really hard to go wrong by, honestly. Blazing Wave, Impulse, Overflow. Flames flow out of you in a cascade, consuming everyone in a 30-foot cone. Each creature in that area takes 3d6 fire damage with a basic saving throw against your class DC. A creature that critically fails is knocked prone. Man, Kineticist just blasts and lays people out. So many of their things just knock people prone to the ground. Every even level after this, you get an additional d6 to the damage. Not bad. See, this I feel is balanced. This I feel is balanced, even though this feels like a first level spell, more or less. You're getting essentially a first level spell at 4th level, and its increases are. I feel like this is more the way the balance should be, but even this seems kind of strong. Not the best, and you could probably do better damage, but still. I like that one. Desert Shimmer, Impulse, Aura. I'm very excited. Heat grows intense around you and waves, air wavers and ripples. You and all creatures in your kinetic aura are concealed by intense shimmers of heat, and your creatures other than you that start its turn in the aura takes 2 fire damage. You ignore concealment caused by heat shimmers. Oh, that's cool. You're right up on someone, you're concealed to them, and they're taking damage? That's really good. I acknowledge that, and that is one of the things, like, I feel like this one works pretty good, generally. But, like I said, weaker enemies still occur in encounters. Most encounters, even in the modules, have enemies that are, like, 3 levels under you. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. Crawling Fire, 3 actions, Impulse. You mimic the motions of a beast and it becomes real. A flaming pelt and searing claws. The Crawling Fire has a form of your devising, drawn from your memories and your dreams or your creativity, and is small in size. Oh, it sounded so cool, but it's small, occupying a space accordingly. The Crawling Fire appears in an unoccupied space within 30 feet of you. The Crawling Fire is linked to your own flame, allowing you to use fire impulses through it. Oh, that's really good. When you use a fire impulse, you can have the impulse originate from the Crawling Fire instead. When you first summon the Crawling Fire, you can immediately make a melee fire elemental blast against a creature adjacent to you. You can use overflow abilities through the Crawling Fire as well, but the beast's own fire is consumed in the process, destroying it immediately after the overflow ability is completed. The Crawling Fire can be sustained up to a minute. Each time you sustain the impulse, you can have the Crawling Fire stride 40 feet. The Crawling Fire can be attacked as normal using your statistics for its defense. Your link to the beast means any damage dealt to it is dealt to you instead, though you take damage only once from any ability that includes both you and it. You can only have 1 Crawling Fire in effect at a time within any previous beast disappearing if you use crawling fire again. At 8th level, the crawling fire you create can be small or medium. Okay, gets bigger. The crawling fire can be small or medium or large. Crawling fire you create can be small, medium, large, or huge. Cool, I guess. Interesting. Interesting. I mean, it allows you to use any impulse, which your blasts are impulses, if I'm not mistaken. What page are we on? 20? Oh, we're almost done. Let me double check real quick. Yeah, your blasts are impulses. So, yeah, you kind of get a fire summon in a way. That's pretty cool. Actually, I really like that. That's very, very solid. Crawling fire, I think, is a really cool one. Wandering smoke, 2 actions. Impulse. Oh my god, how many traits does this one have? Impulse, overflow, polymorph. You shift a creature's corporeal form into a tumbling plume of smoke. Target yourself or a willing creature you touch. The target turns into thick black smoke and strides up to its speed. During this movement, the target can move through occupied spaces and ignore difficult terrain and greater difficult terrain that wouldn't impede smoke. Its movement doesn't trigger reactions. At the end of the movement, the target returns to normal and its space is filled with smoke that makes anyone within the space concealed. The smoke lasts until the start of your next turn or until dispersed by a strong wind. For 1 minute after you use this impulse, the target's eyes glow with orange light and the target gains smoke vision. Smoke vision doesn't impair its vision and ignores the concealed. That's pretty cool. You can give one of your allies smoke vision. I feel like there's other abilities that can generate smoke that this can synergize with. That's really cool. And at 10th level, the target can fly instead of stride, using its land speed or fly speed, whichever is higher. Send your allies into combat. Send your tank, your champion, right into the center of combat to do some work. Send your barbarian with cleave right into the back line. This is really solid overall. I really like this ability. Kindle inner flames, 2 actions, impulse. As a candle can light another, you awaken the latent potential to channel fire in other creatures. Target any number of willing creatures within 30 feet of you. Any number. Each of them sheds faint flying embers for 1 minute, gaining a +1 status bonus to reflex saves and acrobatics checks, and a +10 status bonus to all its speeds. Nice! The next strike each target makes before the end of its next turn, do an additional... Whoa! That's really cool! At 12th level, the status bonus to reflex increases to +2 and acrobatics as well, and the status bonus to its speeds get... Ooh, that's a really good ability! You give everyone in your team a speed boost, a bonus to reflex and acrobatics, and their next strike does an additional D6? This is, again, I really think Kineticist is one of the few classes that really, really benefits. Yeah, and it's not overflow. That really benefits from a really high initiative, actually. I think a really good initiative can set your teams up for a lot of success. Yeah, and everyone, honestly. It is status bonus, though, so the speed bonus does not increase for monks or swashbucklers or barbarians, any class that gets a status bonus. So swashbuckler, maybe not so much. Yeah, but this is a good way to get your team just in the fight and to do some extra damage. The acrobatic bonus is good, yes. Solar detonation. Oh god, that sounds really cool. They do seem like it, yeah, which is not something I expected from fire. 3 actions. Impulse. This does have the incapacitation trait, so please everyone remember, incapacitation, if they're your level or higher, or they're higher than your level, they get 1 level of success better. Overflow. Blinding flames explode in a swirling sphere. The detonation fills a 20-foot burst within 60 feet of you. Each creature in that area takes 3d10 fire damage and can be dazzled or blinded depending on a reflex saving throw. Each of those creatures is then temporarily immune to being dazzled or blinded by solar detonation for 10 minutes, but can still take damage from impulse. Success creature takes half damage and dazzling failure is blinded until the start of your next turn. Creature takes double damage and is blinded for a minute. Incapacitation feels like a little much on this one. Not gonna lie, honestly. It's a fireball, though, pretty much. A weaker fireball, but still a fireball. No limitations. Really good ability. Yeah, you can play your battlefield commander. You can play a true marshal, finally. And if you're using for your archetype, yeah, I think this would go really... Fire would go really well. The Burning General, the Flame General. Nice, I love it. Again, Kineticist being super aesthetic. 12th level, Architect of Flame. 3 actions. Impulse Overflow. Flames rise in shape to your will, forming a palisade or dome of your design. You create wall of fire in addition to the normal shapes. You can choose to make the wall 10 feet wide, 60 feet tall, or 20 feet wide and 20 feet tall. As the spell, it lasts for a minute. The wall's damage is 3d6 instead of 4d6. Using Architect of Flame, again, ends any previous ones you've created. The damage increases by 4d6 at level 16, which is a lot. A lot. Yeah, see, this, even though it has overflow, right? Even though this has overflow, this is just a free wall of flame. Infinite wall of flame. 2 not by what? 2 not by... Oh, 2 4d6. Oh, okay. 2d. I see. That's a little better. This is still Infinite Wall of Flame. That's a little bit worse than Wall of Flame. But again, I feel like a lot of these abilities are just strong. I think if they made them all once per hour, I would have no complaints. I think this would be overall balance if it was all once per hour for a lot of these abilities. Especially because a lot of them can be sustained anyway. Furnace Form, 2 actions, Fire, Impulse, Kineticist, Polymorph. I don't know why I read all the traits. Impulse, Polymorph, those are the important ones. Opening your inner gate, you allow the flames to consume you in your form, making you a living flame. You gain the benefits of Fiery Body spell until the end of your next turn. Your Fire Elemental Blast adds a die of their normal damage die instead of a d4 of your unarmed attacks. While under the spec, you gain a Gather Element to gather fire as a free action. This is pretty good, and this one this one is not as much of a complaint for me, because it's until the end of your next turn. It can't be, well, it can last for a minute, though. Ugh, again. Very strong, very strong. No, I disagree. I disagree because they get so many that work really, really well. And it would be, like, better than spellcasting. Why does this keep happening today? There. Burned out of the chat. They get so many abilities. You gotta remember, too, if they focus on a single ability, they get a bunch of feats. Starting out at level 1, I guess. And they're level 1 feats, which are not as good. But they don't run out of options, honestly. And they still can blast. They can still blast, and they can still strike. Sounds like damaging, dazzling flash. Yes. Sorry if I missed some of your comments. I am trying to kind of burn through these. No pun intended. Arrive in conflagration. What's the class name, please? This is the Kineticists. And don't worry, Severo. This stream will also be available on the channel after we're done streaming. It'll take like because it's going to be over 2 hours. This is longer than our table talk. Jeez. This will probably take about like 4 or 5 hours to process. So tomorrow this stream will be available for everyone to watch. So you can see everything we've done up until this point and all my opinions. Arrive in conflagration. Oh god, that's a lot of traits. All right. Impulse, overflow, teleportation. 2 actions. You fall through your own inner gate, leaving behind an effigy of flame and reappearing majestically near another manifestation of elemental fire. You instantly transport yourself and any items you're wearing and holding from your current space to a clear space within under 20 feet. You can see that it's adjacent to an open flame or a creature taking persistent fire damage. That's interesting. If this would bring another creature with you, even if you were carrying it within an extra dimensional container, the action fails. In the space you left behind, a pillar of fire in the shape of your body remains. Any creature that starts its turn adjacent to the pillar or moves into it takes 2d6 fire damage with a basic reflex saving throw against your class DC. The pillar lasts until the start of your next turn. In the space you left at the start of the... Every 3 levels after this, you get an additional d6. This is... this would be annoying. Right? The enemy's up on you. They got attack of opportunity. You can't get away. You're like, peace out, teleport away. It's not a spell. It doesn't provoke attack of opportunity. And then they have to make a basic reflex saving throw against fire damage. That sounds annoying. Yeah, dedicated gate definitely feels a lot more worth it knowing what some of these have available. And plus, when you split yourself up with dual or universal, like you get more options, true, but I feel like you might be missing out on some of the cool synergies some of these have. But yeah, arriving conflagration is super funny and a real dick move against some types of enemies. You become super slippery and infinite teleportations. Oh, do they have concentrate and manipulate? Oh, that changes everything. You must have gathered... the element was... Using an impulse requires gesturing and focusing your power. This means they... Oh, they do! Oh, okay. Never mind. So every time I mentioned that before, I ignored that. I don't even remember which ones I mentioned before, so... okay, alright. That makes that one a lot more reasonable. Learning something every... Man, I should have read that box in the beginning. I always ignore them because they usually are pretty self-explanatory. Flame. Here we are. All right. That was arriving conflagration. That one's a pretty good one, though. I do like this one regardless. If the enemy does have attack of opportunity, still same thing. Come in, peace out. Yeah, no barbarian kineticists. Unfortunate. Another class that's victim of attack of opportunity. Yeah, but attack... Again, I'll keep saying this. Attack of opportunity is not that common. Most enemies do not have attack of opportunity. Some scary ones do, yes. But most do not. Horrid ignition. 2 actions. Impulse. You lob noxious chemical flames that cling to your foes. Oh, this sounds like it's going to be nasty. Make a ranged fire elemental blast. Boost. You can boost this one. You can boost this one with that one that we mentioned before. The blast deals an additional 3d6 persistent fire damage, and the target is enfeebled 1 as long as it's persistent. Oh! Fire and earth together? That would be so nasty. Because imagine, you have your earth shield, your earth tank, and then you hit them with noxious fumes or whatever, and they're burning and enfeebled, making them less accurate, not overflow. Woof. Nasty. Nasty. Now, I will make mention... This is a ranged fire elemental blast, so even if you're adjacent to them, you cannot benefit from flanking using this maneuver. So, they did at least a little bit balance it, but that's 3d6 persistent damage is nasty though. That can be that can make an enemy's life hell. Oh goodness! All right, all shall end in flames because yes, we must have whole sentences for feat names towards the end here. 3 actions. Impulse. Overflow. While white hot fire consumes everything in a cataclysmic sphere of death. That sounds really cool. The fire fills your choice of 30-foot burst within 500 feet. 500 feet? Fool. You got a sniper fireball? Is that what you're telling me? 500-foot burst or a 500-foot emanation from you. This deals 7d10 fire damage with a basic reflex saving throw against your class DC. Any creature that drops a 0 HP by this dies and is disintegrated, reduced to a pile of ash. If you die What? 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 Well, any emanation you make, you can choose not to be included. Well, yeah, you can technically choose to include yourself. But yeah, so... You're on your last string. You're at the end. Oh, yeah. Thank you for Zari for subscribing earlier as well. I did not see we didn't get a message for it. Oh, that's because this screen doesn't have that. I apologize if I missed it and you're here. Thank you so much for subbing. Let me get back to All Shall End in Flames. Yeah. Self-heal. And you get to blow yourself up. And you die. You return to life at the start of your next turn. If you're in a really bad spot, you can give yourself essentially a turn for things to adjust. And you can just blow yourself up. Not only are you a sniper fireball user, but you can go sniper, you can go fire kamikaze and be reborn and get more HP. Yeah, you don't get wounded. It does say you die. You do die. Yeah. Ooh. Interesting. I love that. Ooh, that's very interesting. Again, that one's very strong, though. Because technically, it's a full round action, yeah. But you can just blast in yourself around yourself in an area of 7d10 fire damage. Again, reduced DCs, I understand. Not good against bosses, good against everything else, though. That's a cool feat. I still think they need to balance these, at least with limitations, somewhat. Ignite the Sun, 3 actions. Impulse, overflow. The fire of creation becomes yours to control. You create a miniature sun in a 5-foot burst within 500 feet. It sheds bright light in a 500-foot radius and dim light in another 500. Those numbers are so huge, it doesn't even matter. That just screams goblin move to me. Fair. Oh, actually, when you use All Shall End in Flames, technically you get resistance to that damage too, which is interesting. Not that it matters, but I do find that interesting. Anyway, sun, creating and making a sun. 500-foot radius, blah, 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 blah. Each creature in that area takes... Oh, in the 5-foot burst. Okay. I was going to throw a bit of a fit if they were going to allow you to do 4d6 to every creature in a 500-foot radius. No, it's in the 5-foot burst. With a basic reflex saving throw against Escanor. Yes, 7 deadly sins. Exactly. The sun lasts until the end of your next turn, but you can sustain it up to a minute. The first time you sustain the impulse each round, you can choose to increase the size of the burst by 5 feet, and you can make the sun fly up to 30 feet. Any creature takes damage from the sun. Any creature, I should say, that takes damage from the sun when the sun moves through it, or if it ends. Wait, any creature takes damage. That's worded weirdly. When the sun moves through it or it ends its turn in the sun. Each creature can take damage from the sun only once each round. Using a night sun again ends the previous one you created. I mean, not overly, like, this one I feel is balanced despite the fact that you can use it as much as you want. Just purely for the fact that it just doesn't do a ton of damage for its level especially. And, oh yeah! Also, you and each of your allies within 20 feet of the sun deal an additional d6 fire damage on all your strikes. Spells that deal fire damage and impulse, all their spells that do fire, and impulses that do fire as well. A Omegasphere. It's like you're creating the sun. Flaming Sphere that isn't nearly useless. I know. I really would like Flaming Sphere, but my god, does it feel just really bad. Okay. I'm old. Oh my god. Fire took up so much energy from me. Jeez. One more. Water. We're in the home stretch, guys. We're almost there. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Feeling burnt out. Anyway. Deflecting wave. Impulse overflow. It's a reaction. You would take acid, bludgeoning, fire, or slashing damage. Bludgeoning. Or slashing. From an enemy attack, spell, or otherwise hostile effect. You're aware of the action and aren't flat-footed against it. The water you gather explodes into a wave that blunts or disperses the incoming attack. You gain resistance to damage from the triggering effect equal to your level if it's bludgeoning or slashing damage, or double your level if it's acid or fire. If the effect deals more than one of the applicable types, they apply the highest resistance, but apply it only once. Pretty good. That's a good reaction. And first level of feat, I think that's pretty good. That's pretty solid. Tidal Hands. 2 actions. Impulse overflow. With an empathic gesture, you create waves that rush out from you in the shape of your hands. You either form 2 15-foot cones that don't overlap, or you combine the hands into 1 30-foot cone. Each creature in a wave takes 2d6 bludgeoning damage with a basic reflex saving throw against your class DC. On a crit fail, you push them 5 feet. Okay. Damage increases by 1d6 every odd level after that. Not bad. Nothing too crazy yet. Ooh, Water Dance. This one was mentioned earlier in a prior feat. 2 actions. Impulse. Surging wave forms behind you and around a creature, pushing it forward rapidly. Target a willing creature within 30 feet. A wave appears behind them and around the target. Why did I say behind and around? And it lets it stride up to 30 feet. If the target is in the water, in water, it can use. I don't think this one was done very well. It should say, I think if the target is in water, it can instead swim up to 40 feet. That's what I'm assuming. The target gains +2 circumstance bonus to defenses against any reactions triggered by this movement. If you target yourself, you can move twice instead of once. So, yeah, if you're going to move twice at all, you're just going to do this instead. Especially because it gives you a bonus to prevent triggering reactions. Solid. Every 3 levels after this, the swim or stride speed increases by 5 feet. Allow your allies to move around the battlefield. Pretty good. Or allow yourself to move with less risk. Pretty good. Winter's Clutch. Oh, they're adding ice into the mix too. Ooh, I love ice. 2 actions. Impulse. Aura. Flakes of chilling snow whirl around you. Any creature that enters the aura or ends its turn there takes 1 cold damage. An individual creature can take damage from Winter's Clutch only once per turn. At the end of each of your turns, the snow in the area collects in a snowdrift. Choose 3 contiguous squares within the aura to fill with snow. These squares are difficult terrain until the start of your next turn. Overall, pretty cool. And the damage increases from the aura by 1. That's a very solid one from Winter's Clutch. Putting the vocal cords to the test today. 4th level, Return to the Sea. 3 actions. Impulse. Morph. Ooh, morph. Okay. You adapt a creature to living and moving in water. Target a willing creature within 30 feet. For 10 minutes or until you next use Return to Sea, it gains the effects of Feet to Fin spell and can breathe underwater. In addition, it ignores the effects of water normally has on bludgeoning and slashing attacks. Oh, cool! Underwater Marauder mixed in. That's a really good one. It's 3 actions, though? I mean, I guess you're getting the effect of 2 spells. Yeah, okay. 2 spells for the effect. You can target up to 5 willing creatures. Yeah, I can agree with this one. I think it's a good one. Druid with a single focus, but I can ride the wave 30 feet. Wait, water can assist, yeah. Yeah. I really think that this is going to have to go through some balance checks. Honestly. I would really hate for Kinetic to begin the beginning of the Pathfinder 2E power creep. Yeah, infinite 2 spells and no overflow. Another really, really good one. Granted, you can't use it on multiple people, which does reduce its effectiveness slightly. But, I don't know. Again, I think if most of these were pushed to once per hour, I'd be happy. Slippery Sleets. Impulse. Overflow. A deluge of freezing rain pours down in a 20-foot burst within 120 feet. Each creature in the area takes 4d4 cold damage with a basic reflex save against your class DC. Surfaces in the burst are coated in slippery ice until the start of your next turn. Those surfaces are difficult terrain and uneven ground with a balance DC of 15. A creature is flat-footed on the ice as normal for uneven ground. Nice. That could be pretty good, actually. Oh my god, they're back again. No, stop. Time out. Go away. Reports. And hide. Yeah, it's definitely power creep. And so they need to either put in a focus point system or they need to make it like once per hour. Like I said. They arguably have abilities that are just better than other abilities. Straight out. Standing Surf. 3 actions. Water rushes up into a vertical sheet that stands suspended before you. I noticed as well, a lot of the water ones have 3 actions. That's interesting. This is Impulse and Overflow, by the way. Water rushes up in a vertical sheet that stands suspended before you. This has the effect of wall of water, except the wall is 30 feet long. The wall lasts until the end of your next turn, but you can sustain up to... So another wall spell. Using, gets longer every even level after this. But Pathfinder has been really good recently. I feel like they will get this under control when it comes up. Lowland Fog, another 3 action one. You know, I might be able to say these are balanced if they're all 3 actions. That'd be probably not the funnest way to do it. I'd say I go with the 1 hour more than 3 actions. But I don't know. It's interesting that a lot of these are 3 actions. Impulse, overflow. Impenetrable fog with a chaotic, swirling pattern consumes the battlefield and hides the movement of creatures within it. You create a fog bank of a 10-foot burst within 120 feet. All creatures in the fog are hidden, not concealed. Hidden. And all creatures outside the fog become hidden to creatures within it. Then one creature of your choice in the area can step or stride, provided it ends this movement inside the fog. The fog lasts until the start of your next turn. However, if the creature attempts to target a creature within the fog, all observers disbelieve the illusion after the effect is resolved. For instance, if a creature made an attack into the fog and guessed the location of the target, the flat check for the target being hidden would apply to the attack. Regardless of the result of the attack, all creatures observing this would disbelieve the illusion. That's a weirdly convoluted one for no reason. You can let any number of creatures in the fog move instead of just one. I don't know. I don't really have a lot to say about that one. That one seems a little weird, a little convoluted in some ways. Maybe I'm just also a little burned out so far. So, no comments. For a more fresher brain me, we'll answer that in the future, probably. Torrent in the blood. Oh, someone was all about blood bending last stream. Well, here it is. Impulse. Healing. Okay, and necromancy. Healing. Okay. Healing wave splashes over creatures in a 30-foot cone. It cleanses water, chasing affliction from the body. Each creature in the area regains 3d6 HP and can attempt a new save again against one poison or disease of affliction affecting it. On a failed saving, though, the condition doesn't worsen. Each creature in the area then becomes temporarily immune to torrent of blood for 10 minutes. If you're a universal caster, you can just have all the healing spells and just use them one turn after another. It wouldn't be good healing, but you could do a lot of healing with the kineticists. Interesting. Someone's gonna do it. They're gonna be like, I'm the healer kineticist, and use all the healings. To each their own. It's not particularly great, but it's still good. The healing increases by 1d6. Drowning Spear, 3 actions, another 3-action one. Impulse. You collect water into a spear that lashes out at your foes. You create a spear within 30 feet, which has the effects of Aqueous Orb, except it uses your Kineticist class DC. In addition, the spear can grow whip-like tendrils of water to lash out nearby foes or to batter the foes trapped within it. As long as the spear is within 30 feet, you can make melee, oh my god, from the spear's location instead of your own, which can target creatures inside the sphere. You can have only one drowning sphere. Oh my god. That's nasty. And it's not overflow. That sucks. Whoever gets trapped in there is doomed. They can't do anything about it until they get out of the Aqueous Orb. It uses your class CC. It does make it easier to get out. Still sucks. Still sucks. Glacial Prison, Impulse, Incapacitation, Overflow. Intense cold captures your foe in clutches of frost, slowing it down and turning its body to ice. Target a creature within 120 feet. It must attempt a fortitude save against your class DC. The creature is then temporarily immune for 24 hours. Crit success, nothing happens. Success, the target is slowed 1 until the end of your next turn. Failure, target is petrified. Okay. Target is petrified, except its body is turned to ice instead of stone, giving it hardness 5 and leaving its bulk unchanged. This lasts until the end of your next turn, but if the target is affected by a hostile action, the effect ends immediately after the action. Okay, that's pretty good. Crit failure as failure, but after becoming unfrozen, the creature is slowed 1 until the end of its next turn. Oof. That one sucks. Getting caught by that one sucks. Not broken though. But that's a good ability. I like that one. Barrier of Boreal Frosts. Not a full sentence, that one. Pretty close. Barrier of Boreal Frosts. 3 actions. You form an intricate structure of ice, such as a wall of bricks. made of packed snow or a screen of enormous icicles. This has the effects of wall of ice. The effects of a wall of ice spell. Okay, it's another wall spell. It uses one. You choose whether the ice is transparent or opaque. The wall lasts until the end of your next turn, but you can sustain it up to a minute. If you use this yet again, the prior one disappears. Nothing fancy, nothing new. Though they get another thing they can like summon in a sense. Sea Glass Guardian, Impulse, Aura. What? Wait a second. An elemental being, perhaps an eel formed of undulating water or ice crystals, whirling in the shape of a jellyfish, races around you to retaliate against anyone who threatens you or your allies. It flows around combatants and doesn't occupy a space. Whenever a creature in or adjacent to your kinetic aura damages you or an ally in the aura, the Guardian deals 8 damage. This is a group Thorns. This is group Thorns. This is really good. You choose the form of the defender when you use this impulse, which determines its damage type: bludgeoning, cold, piercing, or slashing. If you choose cold, the impulse gains the cold trait. Cool. Every 3 levels above this one, so it gets up to a maximum of 16 damage every time you or an ally is struck. No save? That's really strong. That's really, really strong. No save thorn damage that does even 8 damage is really strong. Oh. Y'all have no idea how relieved I am to see the end. To see level 18. Alright. Let me drink some water and we'll finish things up here. Okay. Ride the Tsunami. 3 actions. Impulse. Overflow. Booming, crashing, walls of water smash out ahead of you, overwhelming all in their path. Each creature in a 60-foot cone takes 8d10 bludgeoning damage with a basic reflex saving throw against your class DC. A creature that fails its save is pushed 10 feet, or 20 feet on a crit failure. Any unattended object of 1 bulk or less in the area is pushed to the far edge of the cone. After the tsunami crashes down, you can swim in a straight line to any point in its area. You can swim. You can go anywhere in that area. I arrived now and I feel your pain. Thank you. Thank you. This one's interesting. It's a big area attack. It does 8d10 bludgeoning damage, which is solid. Basic reflex. Creatures are pushed. Objects are pushed. You can swim. It's a reposition. It's an attack and stride in a 3 action. Not bad. Honestly, compared to a lot of the other 18 abilities, this one feels a little lackluster. Maybe I just have burnout brain and I can't see the benefit of it. But I don't know. My head genuinely feels hot. Oh, yes, finally, the sentence one. My favorites. They're actually usually the coolest. Usurp the lunar reigns. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like I said. Let's see. Impulse overflow. You can fully create water and control the tide, subverting even the moon's sovereignty. In a 20-foot burst within 120 feet, you manipulate or create water in your choice of the following ways. Raise or lower the level of water in the area by 10 feet. Create a pool of pure, clean water. This water must be created on the surface, not in air, and flows normally. It doesn't deal damage. Make water in an area turbulent or calm. This can reduce difficult terrain to calm water, to turn greater difficult terrain into difficult terrain, or turn calm water into difficult terrain, but it can't turn difficult terrain into greater difficult terrain. This effect lasts until the end of your next turn, but that's super lackluster. That seems strange. It's 3 actions. For utility? I mean, I will say it allows you to create water in the area specified by the spell. Technically, you can make a water zone on dry land, wherever. Uh, well, but create pool of pure water. It can't be in the air. It can't be created on the surface. Yeah, I don't know. Usurp the Lunar Rains does not live up to how cool the name sounds. I will say that. I don't know. If I miss anything, no expiration. True. Oh, no. I believe this part here is the actual end. It's just not separated appropriately. Interesting. I want to check something before we end, and then I want to hear all your thoughts on kineticists after everything is said and done. Do they get master in their class DC? They do at level 17. Which is rough. But they do get it. Yeah, I don't know. And yeah. Well, I mean, I found it here. So, yeah. Oh, gosh. That took 3 hours for a playtest. And they're not even done. It's going to have 2 more elements. It's going to have wood and metal later. Oh my god. The video is going to take forever. Even my videos are going to take like an hour or more. Maybe. I'm going to say, in my humble opinion, this is going to get a lot of reworking done. I think they're going to make it feel a lot more reasonable in a lot of ways. And hopefully they take a lot of the power creep into consideration, especially for similar abilities that are used through focus spells. So, yeah. That's I mean, there's a reason why next year they're only coming out with 1 class. I think. They might do another set, but the book will only have the 1 class. Yeah, sure, I can. I'm more than happy. We got nearly 30 people watching this stream. Maybe not on your platform specifically, but in general, we were up to like 28, 29 people watching. That's pretty big. I'll probably readdress some of this on Thursday when we do Table Talk. I mean, there's so many classes, and they release classes at such a ferocious pace that no one can legitimately claim they've played all the classes yet. At least not to some significant degree. One-shots, don't count. Definitely, they can slow down and I'll be happy. It'll make my life easier. But I have until next summer. I have a year to get ready for this one. I'm going to need that year. I'm tired. I'm going to be tired for the next year waiting on this one. I do think that they're going to adjust some of the Kinetic stuff. I think they're going to reduce some of the effects that feel like infinite spellcasting, because it seems out of line with their current level of balancing. It does use class DC. I admit they're also worse than the spells. but I feel like this will step on some classes' toes in some ways. We'll see. We'll see. This is also my first impression right out the gate. This is not until I've digested the information and like have fully thought of the consequences as a DM. So give me a while. I will get a more informed opinion on this at some later points. But I think this one's really good. I really enjoy it. I love classes that are flexible. I love classes that have a degree of complicatedness to them. I'm a thinker. I like to think while I play. I really want to make an elemental weapon master build. That sounds so cool. Get some auras. Do the flame marshal. Ooh, ooh! It sounds so good. God damn, stupid. Go away. Okay. So, what's y'all's opinions? Actually, you know what? Let's hop back to this scene here. So y'all can see the chat. I realized the whole time the chat wasn't up there, so there wasn't really much cross-platform chatting between groups. I apologize. I don't think anyone cared. Mostly we were just excited to look into Kineticist. But yeah. What do y'all think about Kineticist? Do many people really playtest such new classes? Sounds like a difficult job. Not going to have the breadth of options of a spellcaster will have for spells alone, and its class features are kind of weak in very specific use cases. Yeah, I don't like how their class features themselves feel very not great. And this is not saying that they're going to completely usurp spellcasters. We're not saying that at all. I feel like even now, in combat, they are not broken. I feel like in combat, they're fine. I think the biggest thing really is the utility. That's what I'm looking at. Yeah, I just don't like their class features. I feel like their class features feel very meh. Do many people playtest such new classes? I mean, I don't like playtesting the new classes because I know they're jank, and they've been doing pretty good with who they've been getting to playtest these things. They also have a lot of their own crew that playtest these things pretty ridiculously. And Mark Seifter also probably ends up playtesting these things and gives his opinions. So I'm excited to see this released. I want to see what this looks like when it's had all its final checks. Then we can come back to it. I don't think in combat this is very damage heavy. I think that the biggest thing is the utility, and their utility is super strong. Super duper strong. They have better utility than a lot of spellcasters, even though it's a little bit more limited based on element choices. Infinite Flight's just really strong. There's a lot of arguing on the forums, yeah. Let's see. I'm curious if the multi-class archetype will let your class DC for Kinesis reach expert, or have them use your own class DC spell DC. I think it'll let you get up to expert, is my opinion. I think it's level 14 or 12 will be you get expert, and you may get one of their other, like, you may get one of their like pure adaptation or something abilities with it. I don't know. We'll see. Looks like they can get into some shenanigans, the fun kind of, at least. Yeah, they definitely can do a lot. They can do a lot. I mean, the more playtest data given, the better. I agree. If anyone wants to playtest, feel free. I just... my issue is, one, I run a lot of games. Well, I don't run a lot of games, but I run games, If a player comes up to me saying, hey, I want to use this playtest material, and it's going to longer run a campaign, I'm probably going to say, no, wait until the class comes out. I feel like it's a little wonky right now, and I would prefer it to be better balanced. So I can't rightfully say that I would do it and not let my players do it. I wouldn't be that kind of hypocrite. Be great for a one shot. Can you do playtests in society? Weird. Interesting. That's kind of crazy. They announced it at Gen Con. I really can't wait to go to Gen Con. I really do want to go. This year just was not paying. We're going to Norway. Don't got money. We're just getting started. The channel's doing great, y'all. We have a bunch of people subscribing here. We do have access to super chats, though it's on the YouTube side of things. Hopefully we get Twitch something similar later. So the channel will be doing better. We'll have more of a chance of meeting y'all at like Gen Con or things like that as well. I really do want to go. They want people to playtest it. There would be no point in public playtest without it. Yeah, but society, yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I think that's pretty cool, honestly. Might be a bit of a headache for the GMs if they feel like it's not balanced, but, you know, I think that's pretty cool. Paizo does do really good work. I felt that Thought Materials in his playtest was kind of wonky, and I think they really came through with it afterwards. Witch too. So, yeah, I think this one's going to be really good. It's got a lot of options. It's going to have the most options of any class in the game up until this point, and probably ever after. This is just a massive class. And technically, if you play the Universal, you get access to all these feats as options. Well, except for the ones that specify dual or single or whatever. So yeah, if you like having options for your character builds, this is going to be the one to go. This is going to be the one for sure that's going to really make waves. And I'm excited for it. Any final thoughts from the audience before we head out? Because I'm tired. It's been 3 hours. This is the longest stream I've done. And I've been shouting for a good portion of it. I am destroyed. It's 2 p.m. My God. Oh. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry for the person who's developing Path Builder. It's going to be a lot. Who knows? They got a lot. Holy crap. This is not going to be a good class for people who suffer from severe choice paralysis. And they're adding 2 more elements. So it will be probably, if anything, the same if they do trim the fat a little bit. But they'll probably just add more. Yeah, Raging Elements, they're just like, we want to bring Kineticist. And they looked at the pages and like, let's just write a whole book for it. Let's just write a whole ass book for one class. Super funny. All right, well, thank you to everyone that's been here. Dead Phoenix, Azikaru, The Only Sheets, ICANN, Severo, Toodles. Who else interacted in chat? I know quite a few people did. Oh God, we've gone beyond Oh god, I'm bad with names. I'm sorry, my brain is fried. If you interacted in the chat today, thank you so much. These streams have been getting bigger and bigger. I'm very, very excited. We got some fun stuff. The more people we bring in, the more fun stuff we're going to be able to do on this channel as far as like events and everything like that. So I'm very excited for that. Join the Discord if you haven't already. We're going to be doing some fun stuff, I bet, soon. And, oh yeah, class builds. Class builds coming up. There's going to be a class build this week. And this week, I'm going to do a Thaumaturge class build. So if you've been really looking into Thaumaturge, keep an eye out. We're going to have a class build for that coming up this week. Oh, what other news? There's not going to be a game review this month. I'm going to be gone in Norway. I just can't set up the time to get people together to try out a new game system. So this month, we're not going to be trying out a new game. We'll be taking a first look at Blades in the Dark next month, which is going to be super fun. If you want to join that, join the Discord. I'll advertise there. And obviously you have to be in the Discord, at least at first, to join. And, nice. Yeah, we're going to be also... We're going to be doing why this class is awesome for this when it actually comes out. So be ready for that next year. That's going to be an 1.5-hour video, and y'all are just going to have to forgive me for my sins. I try to make those videos short. Thaumaturge was like 45 minutes or something like that. To be fair, that's over an hour shorter than most people's videos on Thaumaturge. This one's just going to be more. It's going to be more. It's so cool, though. I like the idea behind it. But yeah, anyway. Thank you all so much for being here. Good luck with all your games. Leave bad luck to me. I'll see you next time. Bye.